chiropractor and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Giorgia Meloni, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know how I said that what we'll get with these reports, like the FBI investigation into the first Trump assassination attempt and the FBI investigation into the second Trump assassination attempt and the bipartisan congressional committees that will study the same. What we'll get is a 90, 100-page report that just memorializes everything that we already know is true. There'll be no new insights. It's just the definitive account. It's not real until the FBI or a bipartisan congressional committee says so. And so yesterday's Homeland Security Committee report, much ballyhooed by Dick Blumenthal, Senator Stolen Valor from Connecticut of all people, bizarrely suggesting, the American people are going to be very upset by what they read in this report, for those who read. But maybe he's Dick Blumenthal is also like, none of what we know to be true, none of the discussions that we've been having since July 13th matter until Congress puts its official good housekeeping seal on it. But here, this is groundbreaking stuff. We find that the would-be assassin was able to fly a drone 200 yards from the site, use a rangefinder capable of gauging the distance to the former president less than an hour before he began speaking, and bring two explosive devices within proximity of the site of the rally. Yeah, we know.
We knew that.
Yeah. The United States Secret Service's planning, communications, intelligence sharing, and related security failures in advance of and during July 13th directly contributed to the assassin's ability to carry out the assassination attempt and kill and injure people in Butler on that day.
Boring.
Yeah.
Yawn.
I know. Mm-hmm. We know that. Shortly before shots were fired, a counter sniper saw local law enforcement running toward the AGR building. That was the elevated position that was uncovered, with their guns drawn, but he did not alert for President Trump protective detail to remove him from the stage. We know. The USS counter sniper told the committee that while seeing officers with their guns drawn elevated the threat level, the thought to notify someone to get Trump off the stage did not cross his mind. Yeah, we sort of assumed. At the time, the report also revealed a Secret Service official was informed that credible intelligence of the threat existed prior to the rally, but still wrote in a security planning document that there was no adverse intelligence concerning the visit to Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I know. The weight of our mission is not lost on us, and in this hyper-dynamic threat environment, the U.S. Secret Service cannot fail, said U.S. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi. Right. We expected that, too.
There's one part, the report found that the agency had no clear plan for securing that building where the shooter was, but we knew that because it wasn't secured. But one thing that I did learn was that the drone that police were using, it broke down. So the drone operator had to call the 800 number and couldn't get it fixed.
Yeah, the Geek Squad couldn't get there in time.
My
It's too
God.
bad. The good news is, hey, they're going to get a second chance.
A do-over.
October 5th is the date that's set. As promised, Trump returns to Butler, Pennsylvania for a rally on the same site where that assassination attempt was efforted and where he nearly was taken out by that would-be assassin.
And during that visit, though, President Trump is going to honor the memory of Corey Capatori.
Yeah.
And also recognize
did
the
at the
two other
RNC.
Americans that we really haven't had their names, David Dutch and James Kupenhaver. They were both critically injured. But I think this is brilliant. I think he might bring his own security detail with just in case. What do you think, Dan?
I think he's going to have Secret Service there, and I assume that
You think someone's going to be on that building?
I assume that they'll take a break from their freak-offs over at Secret Service to actually have this thing buttoned down over in Butler, Pennsylvania, this go-around, and every go-around from now until November 5th, I assume. But, you shouldn't assume. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. I had a conversation with Susan Crabtree from RealClearPolitics.com that posted at American Greatness on Tuesday for my podcast. And Susan Crabtree's done the best reporting on Secret Service over a long period of time, over a decade now, of anybody in the country. So if you really want to understand the problems with the culture inside Secret Service and detailed examples that extend well prior to the failed assassination attempts on Trump and even some of the more high-profile embarrassments the agency has suffered because of the behavior of its agents, then you want to listen to what Susan Crabtree has to say. For example, I mean, one of the phrases that is used within Secret Service, apparently, is when they're on location doing jobs, around the world, wings up, rings off. So I mean, it's just I think we have, I don't know, that doctor, that COVIDian doctor who got fired for his sex parties and P. Diddy's friends and acolytes and the Secret Service seem to have a lot in common, from what I understand. There's a real problem with discipline within Secret Service. There's a real problem with internal conflicts of interest. This is all Susan Crabtree's reporting. I'm just sort of summarizing it. And that those sorts of problems lead to, a former president almost getting killed.
And there was a Secret Service agent on Kamala Harris's detail who's been put on administrative leave because he allegedly assaulted one of her staff members.
There's also
That's a freak off too, huh?
There was also a report by TMZ that there was a Secret Service lapse in the case of President Obama's security detail. No, now maybe this will draw some attention.
Not that.
Now the Secret Service is arguing that there was no lapse, but there was a security guard at another event who got close to where Obama was in the back of a vehicle, security guard with a gun. And Secret Service didn't immediately stop him. This is being argued by Secret Service, but it was reported by TMZ. So maybe if there's enough lapses with enough protectees, including ones that the D.C. press corps care about, maybe this will get a little bit more attention. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thank you for taking my call. Trump needs to get his own security detail private. He needs to get it. They need to keep an eye on this IRS, the Homeland Security, and the FBI. It's so anybody with a brain can realize that they're using the being inept and being stupid and being they don't have enough money and all this stuff. That all these different things happen. There's something going on there.
Yeah,
I'm not a conspiracy.
No, I think there is something going on, and I would encourage people who are positing conspiracy theories to listen to Susan Crabtree. There's something going on. It's been going on for a long time, and it's basically, a general attitude of we're above the law and we're going to behave as we are above the law and indulge our appetites, and the whatever, some aspects of the job are boring, standing around protectees and there's no action and so on and so forth. And so this is the way we blow off steam, or we don't have to be particularly meticulous with respect to carrying out our responsibilities. And then you see the thing start to come apart at the seams, which is what's happening to this agency now. And then you have to have acting director after acting director run out there and say we need more resources and so on and so forth. When in point of fact, as this wonderful report from this Homeland Security Committee concludes, the attempted assassination of Trump at Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, it could have been prevented. Oh, really? You don't say. Right. Anybody with just a pulse taking in what happened on that day could see how easily it could have been prevented. In fact, it could have prevented if law enforcement would have just followed the direction of all of those people pointing at the roof,
saying, "Look, there's a active shooter over here."
So there was not a lot of expertise that was required to prevent it. Just a little bit of attention to detail.
Well, there's no communication between local police and Secret Service as well.
Something we already also knew. Tom in Cherville.
Yeah, Dan and Amy, I've noticed the Secret Service agents of today, I'm almost 60. I could probably take a lot of them in a fight, but the ones that back in the day, like Dan Bongino, I'd be scared. They don't look tough.
Well, I think it's a mixed bag. Thanks for the call. I think you've got some, pretty alpha Secret Service agents, and you have some less alpha ones. And this is sort of a, we're mixing some agencies too, because at these sites, of course, as we learned, we have Department of Homeland Security officers who are not Secret Service, like that Reno 911 chick who couldn't get the gun out of her holster or back in her holster.
So embarrassing.
So it's a mixed bag, but I don't think it's necessary. It's not about having Secret Service agents look like the Chippendales. It's just about doing your job. I mean, this is why you bring overwhelming force to a situation. This is why you have weapons training and logistics training and experts and communications and so forth. It's just by bringing expertise there. You don't need to, bench 350 pounds to be a Secret Service agent. Although it doesn't hurt.
Chippendales isn't bad. I mean,
Terry in Rogers Park.
That guy that tried to kill Donald Trump said he'll give $100,000 to anyone who murders Trump. I wonder who is it giving them the money.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Terry. That's assassination or would-be assassin number 2, whose son got arrested for child porn too. By the way, interesting family. What a surprise! Dad's. Apple in the tree sort of conversation.
In jail right now.
The $150,000 in that letter, and people saying, just put a bounty on Trump's life. That would be assassin. He doesn't have the means to do that. No one's going to take that. No one takes that seriously. No one's going to follow up now because he had that note in a box that was retrieved. That if you're reading this, I failed, and I still have $150,000, buried in. Just north of Shawshank Prison somewhere. If you finish, I mean, come on, let's get serious. That's what I say.
Goofball.
Listen, just holster, seamlessly holster, unlike the DHS officer. Seamlessly holster the conspiracy theories for a second, and just listen to Susan Crabtree's recounting of a decade of reporting on the Secret Service. How many times she's been lied to, including recently by this Anthony Guglielmi, who is their spokeshuman, who was a spokeshuman for a time with Chicago police. He learned to lie here, and then they scaled it nationally. It is absolutely a culture problem with the Secret Service, just as we've talked about in FBI and other agencies. It includes, but it is not limited to, the executive leadership, and it breeds incompetence because they're focused on indulging their positions rather than carrying out their duties. Coming up at 5:38, hear from a FBI whistleblower who is the opposite, 180 degrees from what we're describing, somebody that actually did serve the country properly and has a message for the country as he testifies before Congress. That's at 5:38.
But now let's step into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
57 degrees, 5:33. And we're eyeballing Hurricane Helene moving towards Florida's Gulf Coast, threatening high winds and life-threatening storm surges. The latest update from the National Hurricane Center: storm clocks in as a Category 1, winds of 90 miles an hour.
It is a fast-moving storm. It's projected to leave up to 12 inches of rainfall, and the storm surge could reach 10 to 15 feet in some areas.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says people should also expect widespread power outages. Helene should make landfall in Florida's Big Bend region as a Category 3 hurricane. It's about 350 miles southwest of Tampa Mayor Jane Castor.
We have our push crews, as you guys know. Those are the ones that will clear the debris out of the way so that we can get first responders into neighborhoods if that's necessary.
Evacuation orders have been issued for many parts of Florida's Big Bend. Federal prosecutors are expected to unseal a criminal indictment against New York City Mayor Eric Adams today.
These charges will be entirely false, based on lies.
Adams says he expected this day to come.
I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target, and a target I became.
According to multiple sources, the indictment stems from a federal corruption investigation that focuses on, at least in part, on whether Adams and his campaign conspired to receive illegal contributions from the government of Turkey. Vice President Harris preparing to make a trip to the U.S.-Mexico border. Harris will visit Douglas, Arizona on Friday. In an interview that aired Wednesday, Harris also spoke on taxes and the Trump economic plan.
Donald Trump made a whole lot of promises that he did not meet, and one would argue broke.
Trump rallied in North Carolina and pushed back on Harris at the border.
When Kamala speaks about the border, her credibility is less than zero. I hope you're going to remember that on Friday when she tells you about the border. Ask her just one simple question. Why didn't you do it 4 years ago?
The man suspected of throwing an explosive device inside a California courthouse is set to be arraigned there on firearms violations. Nathaniel McGuire allegedly threw a bag with an IED near a security screening station, injuring 5. All will survive. 4 were wounded this morning in a shooting near a Chicago music studio on the Northwest Side. It occurred around 2:30 this morning in the 4200 block of Knox Avenue near Fort Knox Recording Studios. Police said the victims were walking on the sidewalk when several inside a dark-colored sedan fired shots. All 4 have been transported either privately or by Chicago Fire in good condition. Cubs knocked around for 13 hits in a 9-6 loss to the Phillies. White Sox staved off a record-setting 121st loss for the second night in a row. 4-3 win over the LA Angels in extra time, while the Blackhawks dropped their preseason opener to the Red Wings 4-2. The news service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today. Visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka explains why Trump is in danger.
Here are a selection of actual quotes from Democrats in recent months. Daniel Goldman, Congressman, Democrat. He is destructive to our democracy and he has to be eliminated. He needs protection from professionals and he needs it now.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I love the product because I'm already here at almost 80 knocking on my door. When I started taking Balance of Nature, I'm telling you, it wasn't a month after that, maybe 2 months after that, I started really feeling the difference.
I love Balance of Nature. I will take it to the day I die. It's wonderful. I feel so much better. I'm telling everybody about it, and I just feel better. I mean, it's just amazing how much better I feel on this stuff. I got excited about the product because I started feeling better. They asked me, does it work? I said, yes, it works. You got to try it. It will work.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code
Chicago. I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
It's 5:41. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of our friends at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of that smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Bad accident on the Ike inbound, right at North Avenue, right as you approach that tri-state construction zone. Drive with care there. Accident cleared northbound 57 at Stunkel Road, and an accident in the cleanup stages in Roselle, Irving Park, and Roselle Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny to partly cloudy and warm. High 79 today. Currently clear and 58. Your next news is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about, the Secret Service, the protection details for Trump, his return to Butler coming next week, 4 days after the debate between Vance and Walz.
So awesome. I got a text message. Dan and Amy, Trump should bring in the Hells Angels for security, just like the Rolling Stones did back in the day.
Yeah, sure. All hands on deck. I don't know. Call Eric Prince, call the Hells Angels, call Sons of Anarchy, the whole thing. Sure.
Guardian Angel.
With respect to the FBI, we need to have the FBI as part of this conversation because, remember, the FBI is also investigating the Secret Service. So we're going to get a report like we got from the Homeland Security Committee yesterday that details a bunch of things that we already know to be true. And then sort of when the FBI comes, it'll be perhaps a little bit more pointed because the FBI doesn't do civil investigations. They do criminal investigations. It'll be this person abrogated his responsibilities, or the agency generally failed, and there was poor judgment call here, and there was a failure to properly memorialize credible intelligence threats there. And at the end of the day, there's some people's hands need to be wrapped, but that will be about it. That's what I anticipate, because of all that we know about how the FBI operates, at least, and has during the Trump era. I mean, all of these agencies we're talking about, these are essentially how they have behaved for at least a decade. And to the extent they were behaving like they are now prior to Trump, then they just ratcheted up multiple levels because they decided to throw in with the rest of the mediating institutions in our society and do everything within their power and even outside of their legitimate power to sideline Trump in 16, in 20, and now again in 2024, which is why people like Marcus Allen are so important, not the Hall of Fame running back. Marcus Allen is a former FBI staff operations specialist who testified before lawmakers on Capitol Hill yesterday about years of suffering in the agency for expressing dissent. He detailed a lot of retaliatory actions that were allegedly taken against him. This is with respect to Jim Jordan's weaponization of government committee. He told of higher-ups accusing him of promoting conspiratorial views and unreliable information because he did things like ask questions that maybe some of us want to know. How many CIs were on scene on January 6th at the Capitol? He noted in his testimony, the FBI questioned my allegiance to the United States, suspended my security clearance, suspended my pay, refused to allow me to obtain outside employment or even accept charity. He said for more than 2 years, 27 months to be exact, he was held in this indefinite limbo, his phrase. So this is how they behave to one of their own when one of their own starts to
color outside the lines?
Well, no, starts to color inside the lines. Says this agency should be coloring inside the line. Says, yeah, some of the questions that are being asked by ordinary Americans are questions I would like to know, too, that we should provide answers on, unlike Christopher Wray, who's still searching for an answer to that question, I'm sure dutifully. And listen to what Marcus Allen recommends to ordinary citizens like you and me.
I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I've been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly. Have your voice heard. My other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times, and make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. And as a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary, go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic, and read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day.
Doomsday prepping, recommendation from the from an operations specialist with the FBI. That's not normally something you hear from a G-man, is it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. I mean, there's a lot packed into just those couple minutes of threat assessments and recommendations from Marcus Allen. One, I like the fact that he mentioned the overclassification of information to prevent disclosure, to prevent transparency. Oh, I'm sorry, that's classified. And of course, you can't question whether or not it should be classified. It's classified. The discussion is over. I can't tell you why it should or should be classified because it's classified. These circular arguments that you have with these agencies are just so enjoyable if you like to live in some sort of Kafka-esque dystopia. They're enjoyable. I mean, you know, I'm sure Marcus Allen won't be given the time of day by the D.C. press corps, which is why we're giving him the time of day because he deserves it.
God, he should be, you know, he should be celebrated as a civil servant and retained in the federal government. We need somebody like that.
Well,
and it's so heartbreaking what he just said.
Well, here's the thing that's the most chilling. I mean, in addition to, you know, putting together militias in your neighborhood that have 3 to 4 months of food in the pantry. Okay. I mean, I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but I'm just wondering, you know, what is animating those sorts of recommendations. I mean, I do appreciate, though, a law enforcement official, particularly G-Man, saying, exercise your Second Amendment right, protect yourself, know how to protect yourself. That's real world advice.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy stepping off and signaling to all of us that we should be prepared.
The thing that's chilling about this, though, if you think about all these agencies that we've been discussing for the Trump era and how they behaved, the only accountability, even approaching accountability, it's not real accountability, but the only sort of insight into what is true we have gotten from DHS, and I'll include all the immigration-related, IRS, FBI, Secret Service now we throw in. The only way we get any scintilla of what is true is through whistleblowers within the agency, which are the needles in the haystack, or, you know, enterprising investigative journalists, or some combination of the two, like Cheryl Atkinson and her Full Measure program brought on those DHS whistleblowers to tell you about how DHS is violating federal immigration law, and they know it and they don't care. Marcus Allen telling you what's going on at the FBI. There have been others. The 2 IRS agents that came forward to blow the whistle on the Hunter Biden investigation, tax fraud investigation. That's the only way we get anything, just a glimpse of something that is true from these agencies. Not from the hierarchy, not from your duly elected representatives, although, yes, some make the effort and some do platform whistleblowers like Jordan's committee did yesterday, platforming Marcus Allen, and so they deserve credit for that. But that's the thing. That, to me, tells you just how far afield we are, how tenuous this all is right now. But for a few brave Americans within these massive bureaucracies, massive hyper-politicized bureaucracies, where they can do to somebody like Marcus Allen what they did, where they can do to those DHS agents we heard from Cheryl Atkinson, which they did in terms of ending their careers, jeopardizing or greatly reducing the pensions that they've rightfully earned, It does take a good deal of bravery and love of country to come forward and say, I got to tell you what's happening because I can't live with this. This isn't right. The American people should know.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same very line.
Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back, Dan.
Thanks.
You know, the only way this is going to end if Trump gets in office, hopefully in every department in Washington, we just have hundreds, if not thousands, of whistleblowers bringing one after another horror story up about what these agencies do to their employees, to the citizens of this country, to whatever. This has to stop, and also people need to go to prison who are doing this because they're violating the Constitution in endless amounts of ways. And, if it don't end, man, and Kamala gets in, you're going to have the full-blown Stasi going around doing whatever they want, whenever they want. It's insane. Have a good.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Did reach a settlement with the Bureau earlier this year. Marcus Allen did. But I'm still glad that he had the courage to come forward, and it was so emotional.
Alex Wagner on MSNBC. This, trying. This is the misdirection play, of course. Don't focus on anything we've done with respect to election interference and the politicization of law enforcement agencies. Focus on J6 and the people who broke the law on January 6th. But very interesting how they've mentioned it, but it's not near the centerpiece I might have thought it would be 6 months ago. Trump, the convicted felon, not near the centerpiece I thought it would have been 6 months ago. And here's why. Because people's bull jive meters are going off. Alex Wagner, MSNBC, town hall with union workers in Pennsylvania, trying to get them whipped up about J6. That's how, this is how that went.
Talk to me about your level of interest in the criminal charges and so forth.
February 6th?
January 6th.
February 6th?
Yeah. So I remember that day. I know he was the standing president. I'm not familiar with the charges that are being brought against him for that. I'm not following that charge or I know there's multiple court cases going on. I'm just not familiar with it.
Don't care.
I mean,
Don't
that
care.
doesn't sound like it's going to be a factor in deciding who to vote for.
No.
Okay, so when I say
Not
January
close.
6th, what do you think?
I just remember seeing it on the news, like all the riots and stuff. Don't really know what it was about or what happened, though.
How did it make you feel when you saw it?
I don't know. I don't really feel any way about it. People showed their emotion, I guess. Probably in the wrong way, but it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. That is so
No.
That's awesome.
Tell me what's on your heart.
How do you really feel? Can you dig a little deeper?
Yeah, there's a union worker who's not properly in touch with his feelings. That's the problem. Greg in Schaumburg.
Hey, Dan, I know on Proft 1, when you were going to Ireland and flying back, you've got this extensive office, but you possibly, took some time off. But one additional element that I'd like to throw in that just is breaking, and it's really alarming, and that is reports that George Soros is about to try to buy 25% of the radio stations in the United States. That is incredible. And the bureaucracy, the swamp, is effectively letting that go through on a fast-track basis. If that's true, we need to do something about it.
Thanks for the call, Greg. It is true, and there's an issue with foreign ownership of that, at that level of American media properties that are FCC licensed. And this was that exchange about that purchase at FCC, talking about one commissioner talking about the irregularity of the expediting of this purchase.
You've indicated there's a transaction where a Soros-backed group would take ownership of over 200 radio stations across 40 different markets after the FCC originally indicating that transaction could be reviewed and approved at the Bureau level without a commission vote. It's now become clear that that is a decision before the full commission, and it's one that I would assume now or in the near future the commission would approve. I think what's interesting about it is that the FCC here is not following its normal process reviewing a transaction. We have established over a number of years one way in which you can get approval from the FCC when you have in excess of 25% foreign ownership, which this transaction does. And it seems to me that the FCC is poised to create, for the first time, an entirely new shortcut.
Yeah, thank you. As you pointed out here and previously, these proceedings for transfer of ownership have been expedited. What exactly makes this case so deserving of an expedited proceeding so far, from what you could tell?
There is nothing about this transaction that is out of the ordinary. It's the type of thing that we see all the time, and the FCC has a process for this. The full commission itself has never signed off on a shortcut like this. What we usually do is we require people to file a petition with us. We bring in national security agencies. They can review the foreign ownership. It's probably no big deal here, but we review that foreign ownership, and then we vote. Here, they're trying to do something that's never been done before at the commission level.
Probably nothing to see here, but we're going to shortcut it and do something unprecedented anyway. And that doesn't raise it is raising red flags, but whether Republicans will pick it up and run with it, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a fair point that Greg brings up. All right, coming up at 6:06, more on migrants and the border, 6:06.
It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
New York City's mayor indicted. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Mayor Eric Adams charged in a federal corruption probe.
As an unregistered foreign agent for taking actions in his official capacity after receiving donations from foreign sources.
Fox's Chanley Painter, the mayor says he will not resign.
I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength in my spirit.
The federal indictment will be unsealed later today. Forecast to slam into Florida's Big Bend within hours. Helene is a strong Category 1 hurricane at the moment, but Fox senior meteorologist Janice Dean says that's about to change.
It's about to go through the warmest water on its trajectory. So temperatures explosive in the Gulf of Mexico, and there's really nothing in its way, and that's why we think it's going to be a major hurricane. Borderline, maybe Category 4.
Forecasters warn the storm's surge could be as high as a two-story building. Landfall forecast in about 12 hours. President Biden has released a statement this morning announcing more than $8 billion in additional military aid for Ukraine. The package includes precision-guided bombs to improve Ukraine's long-range capabilities. Russia warning it has made changes to its policy on the use of nuclear weapons, and there will be consequences if Western countries help attack Ukraine. Israel preparing for a ground assault on southern Lebanon. The U.S. one of a dozen countries calling for a 21-day ceasefire with Hezbollah. White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby.
What we are saying to our Israeli counterparts is we want to make sure you can protect yourself, protect your citizens. We want those families to go back home where they belong, and we don't believe that an all-out war is the best path forward to doing that.
Israel's foreign minister this morning rejecting calls for a ceasefire. UN Secretary General Guterres has told the UN Security Council that hell is breaking loose in Lebanon. America is listening to Fox News.
57 degrees, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. 4 were wounded in a shooting near a Chicago music studio on the northwest side this morning. Gunfire broke out around 2:30 this morning in the 4200 blocks of Knox Avenue near the Fort Knox recording studio. Police say victims were walking on a sidewalk when they were hit by gunfire from a drive-by vehicle. All 4 were transported privately or by Chicago Fire in good condition. Chicago Board of Education is set to vote tonight on a resolution that would ban school closures for the near future. The measures would place a moratorium on closing schools until the end of the 2026-27 school year. Early voting for the November general election begins today. Registered voters can cast ballots early through November 4. Illinois State Board of Elections spokesman Matt Dietrich.
A couple of weeks into the process, or a few weeks ahead of Election Day, you'll see pretty substantial expansion of early voting locations in some of our larger counties.
Early voting kicks off in Cook County and the city of Chicago a little later on next month. Police will host an emergency assistance center today in response to a deadly shooting in the Little Village neighborhood that left one dead and 6
Here
others
is the
injured.
really key. It doesn't have to be from this shooting. Any shooting, it doesn't matter whether it happened yesterday, last week, or last year. As if you are a victim of shooting and you need services, this is the place to get them.
Officer said anyone in need of trauma services and resources should consider stopping by today's event. Cubs knocked around for 13 hits in a 9-6 loss to the Phillies. White Sox staved off a record-setting 121st loss for the second night in a row with a 4-3 10-inning win over the LA Angels. Skipper Grady Sizemore on the size of the crowds coming out to witness an historic loss.
You just can't focus on it. I think, obviously we know they're frustrated, but, when you're in that moment, you're just trying to block all that stuff out, all the negative stuff, and just focus on the game and what you can do to help the team win. So, again, we're professionals. We're not going to let anything rattle us, and we're just going out there and trying to compete and do the best we can to get a win.
The Bears still dealing with a number of injuries as they prep for the Rams on Sunday, and the Blackhawks in the NHL preseason lost to the Red Wings. The News is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella Certified Contractor, at valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager might have figured out the left-wing agenda.
There is a reason that the left-wing elites want vast numbers of people, legally or illegally, since it's clear that at a given number, you cease to be the country that you were. But that might well be the left-wing agenda.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com. I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
6:07 and a check on the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Chicago still needs election judges for the November 5th presidential election. Earn between $170 and $230 for your service. Go to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov to learn more and apply. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, a left lane closed. Ongoing road work in that repaving zone southbound between Irving Park and North Avenue. LaGrange Road northbound between the Burlington tracks and Ogden Avenue. There's a long-standing incident there, so LaGrange Road is being shut down. A truck took down a crossing arm. By the way, BNSF trains that run through there are running normally, but LaGrange Road northbound is continuing to be shut down this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny to partly cloudy, warm day, high 79. Partly cloudy, mild tonight, low 64. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, the high 74. Clouds and breezy, shower in the area on Saturday, high Saturday at 70. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
58 at O'Hare, 59 Midway, 50 in Aurora, 52 in Joliet, 51 in Fog in Lansing, 62 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Debate tip for J.D. Vance on, what was that, Tuesday night?
Yep, this Tuesday. Can't wait.
Debate between he and Field Marshal Tim there.
Oh, I can't wait for Tim to lose his temper, and you can all see the angry streak that he has.
Well, when it comes to an issue that I think will be front and center, immigration, you know that Tim is going to try to get J.D. Vance to, well, you know, to do this.
In Springfield,
oh no,
they're eating the dogs.
No, come on, Dan.
They're eating the cats.
Come on, we had 4 days of
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
A little kiffness.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat. They're eating the dog.
Yeah, you get it. And it's all good, clean fun, and it's useful to an extent. I've said before, it's useful. You don't talk about that. Just focus on all the sober issues. Yes, but getting everybody whipped into a frenzy over whether or not household pets are being disappeared by migrants focuses everybody's attention on the issue in a way that's more relatable than talking about the materials to be used in the border wall and how much it will cost and how do you deport 500,000 people as Trump promises and so forth. But that has limited shelf life. You're supposed to use that issue and people's attention to it and the going of the back and forth and all the memes and the synth pop parody songs and so forth. You're supposed to use that then to get people back to saying exactly that. Okay, whatever the deal is there, I don't know. But what I do know is that there is preventable crime happening in this country to American families. Yep. And that their side, the side that's in charge, Kamala's a part of it. You know, she was the border czarina. I don't know if you heard. Their side clearly doesn't care because they've had 4 years to demonstrate they care. They don't. And they're not going to do anything about it. And if she's elected, she's not going to do anything about it except press the pedal down.
Right. It's going to make it worse.
And I have a plan, and you know my commitment per my 4 years in office to move people in this country illegally, particularly those who have committed crimes or wanted for crimes. In other words, you're going to be vetted before you enter, and you're going to have to prove that you're a legitimate asylum seeker, even if you want to be deprioritized initially and allowed to stay in this country pending the adjudication of your asylum application. because these are the stories that need to be told. And Trump doesn't have the attention span or the detail orientation to tell the stories, but Vance does.
Yep, he sure does.
And Vance can tell the story of the woman who shared the loss of her mother-in-law in Springfield, Ohio. He can share the story of this woman who came forward, again, with a terrible story about her mother-in-law being killed by a Haitian man who's been charged in the death of both her mother-in-law. This is an accident that happened near Grand Rapids, Michigan. A Haitian man who precipitated the accident, charged with the death of this woman's mother you're about to hear from, and another woman. This woman lives in Fairhope, Alabama. And the reason that she stepped to the microphone during a town meeting to talk about what happened to her mother-in-law and another woman up in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area is because here's another town, Fairhope, Alabama. Never heard of it. 15, 20,000 people. Well, there is an influx of Haitian migrants with the prospect of more coming, and the people have some questions about that. Starting with a question we all have and we can't get an answer to because we don't get answers from our government. How is it that you're sending a disproportionate number of migrants from whatever country, 1,000 people into a town of 15,000, 20,000 people into a town of 60,000? I don't care where they're from. That's going to be massively disruptive. That comes with all sorts of complications, and every commonsensical person knows this. But we don't get answers. And that's all they want. And then they want their local officials to actually stand up and demand answers. We're not going to participate in this unless and until we have some answers and whatever associated resources are required to do this in a way that is respectful to, the people who live here and support the town that we live in, who dropped anchor here, who are vested in these communities. We're gonna act in furtherance of their interests first. So you better have a very compelling argument to make that I can turn around and make to the residents that I represent. This is what local officials should be doing, and they're not in so many communities. And you can understand why people are upset. First, her recounting of the accident.
My mother-in-law was recently killed in a tragic automobile accident in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This was in June 2022. She was not distracted. She was not on her phone. She was driving under the speed limit, seatbelt buckled, several car distances away, most likely with her hands at 10 and 2. She was as cautious and careful and law-abiding as they come. Born and raised in that area, she served at the local school for over 20 years, volunteered relentlessly at her church. She loved her community dearly and devoted her life to it in many ways. As she drove to pick up cabinet hardware to complete the dream kitchen she had worked on and waited 25 years for, her car rapidly approached a vehicle in front of her on US 131. She slowed and brought her vehicle to a complete stop as she realized that car in front of her was actually in reverse on the interstate. Though she saw him, though she controlled her own vehicle, another vehicle behind her didn't have the time or luxury of stopping. This woman was 37 years old in the car behind her. My mother-in-law was hit from the rear at full speed of 77 miles per hour by another innocent woman. Then her car imploded into the driver in front. They were both killed in the accident. Both Christians, both community servants, one a teacher, one a nurse, one single mother of 2 young children, now being raised without parents. The driver of the initial vehicle in reverse was a Haitian immigrant named Antoine Azard. He was the only driver that day to survive. He didn't speak English, so at the scene of the crime, there were dozens of police officers, state and local. He couldn't speak English to describe the account of the accident. It's taken 2.5 years for the trial. He was finally charged with 2 counts of reckless driving causing death.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
We don't know, at least I haven't seen reporting on whether or not the man charged in the death of those 2 women on that road in Grand Rapids, we don't know if he's here legally or not, if he's under temporary protected status or not. We don't know. You know why? because the media doesn't care. So we don't get answers to that question because these agencies don't care. So we don't get answers to these questions. And this is what...
How did he get a driver's license and how did he get a car? Because don't you have to have insurance too? I mean, I'm so sick of this. My Chicago cop friends tell me, Amy, the biggest problem right now are these illegals that somehow they get cars, and we've heard that they get them from unclaimed vehicles at the pound, but they don't know how to drive, and that is their biggest problem. They'll blow through stop signs, they'll blow through red lights, and they put people at risk.
Yeah, and oftentimes, we have myriad documented cases of the undocumented. They don't have driver's licenses or insurance. So she goes on to provide some context to why she told the story. And, this last part of what she has to say, the last couple parts, if you want to be a spokesman for the people or a representative of the people, occasionally you might want to listen to them.
I'm a mother, a Christian. I'm not racist or uncompassionate. I'm not a bigot. And I'm certainly not an pretentious, entitled elite. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I seek to be compassionate and caring and understanding. I seek to live a life that honors God and honors others, that loves others, that gives and cares too for others. I'm also a mom of 5 daughters. If my desire to help others endangered my own children by removing the locks on my doors and welcoming handfuls of young men, would that be the right thing to do in the name of compassion? Regardless of where they came from or how wonderful they were, my responsibility as a mother requires and demands my care and compassion first to protect my own. It would be neglectful and even abusive if I put the care of my own girls aside to accommodate the care of others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, people in Naperville and Hinsdale and River Forest could give a rat's ass about your kids. I mean, they take the same attitude with their kids that you take with your kids, this woman in Fairhope, Alabama. But they don't care about these families in Fairhope, Alabama.
Or the people
because
in Grand Rapids.
they can afford their stylish viewpoints about compassion, however phony they are, in Naperville and Hinsdale and River Forest. They can afford it.
They don't have illegals there. They weren't dumped there yet. They could be.
And so that's who she is and who she isn't, dealing directly with the caricature of people like her by those pretentious elites in so many circles that we've discussed at length. And why she is there at the meeting, why she's speaking up and telling a story. She's obviously nervous and emotional doing so. She doesn't want to be there, but she thinks she needs to be there because...
I'm not here tonight to talk about Haitians or even immigration. I'm here to highlight what seems to be a growing concern for many of the citizens of this community and many across the country as a whole. The real issue I see brewing tonight isn't just about Fairhope or Baldwin County. It's about leadership across this country, even in tiny communities like this one, seemingly usurping the will of the people, the very people in which they were appointed to represent. The issue at hand tonight has struck a chord, as you can see. Not because people are rude or selfish or self-serving or closed-minded. It's not because they lean left or right, aren't loving, kind, or generous. A large portion is because somehow things like this seem to slip through, leaving the citizens concerned and confused as to how they weren't made aware. They weren't made a part of the discussion. That type of power and override is what this community, many who are here tonight and many who aren't, feeling like we are under the overarching rule of control rather than a community of information, understanding, and democracy.
Yeah, that about nails it. It's a pretty good summation of exactly what is happening and exactly why most people are there. And the press corps DC press corps will take the one-off nitwit that says something intemperate or gets overheated and say, well, this is representative of everybody in Springfield, Ohio, or Charleroi, Pennsylvania, or Whitewater, Wisconsin, or Fairhope, Alabama, but it isn't. She is. And this is who J.D. Vance needs to speak for on Tuesday.
Maybe President Trump can get her on stage at one of his campaign rallies, too, to tell her story.
I prefer she stay outside of it, politics. I just prefer that people share this authentic, organic moment at a town hall meeting where she's there to speak on behalf of her family for her town. That's what's actually happening. Matt in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, a couple things. Daphne, Fairhope, that area, very, very wealthy, very nice, a lot of retirees down there. They don't have the infrastructure, the police force. They're not equipped to handle this influx of immigrants. We were just there, and it's a wonderful area, and it will be completely killed if they allow these immigrants to come in there. And secondly, this summer I had to do business up in Wisconsin. I stayed overnight in Whitewater, and I couldn't believe these groups of 2 or 3 18, 19, 20, 25-year-old men walking around with nothing to do, obviously from Hispanic, obviously from Guatemala or Venezuela or somewhere, and just sitting there going, what's going to happen when the college students come back to Whitewater and these guys have nothing to do and the college students are intermixing with them? There's no good that can come from this, no good whatsoever. And I can't believe these local communities just have these people descending upon them without any warning, without any help whatsoever. I sit there and say, well, how soon is this going to happen now to Geneva or Naperville or Batavia or Elburn? It can't, as far as I'm concerned, it can happen. It cannot happen soon enough to make those people wake up.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Giorgia Meloni, she's the Prime Minister of Italy, don't you know? She addressed the United Nations General Assembly this week, as did Biden and
his farewell tour.
Others that were unremarkable and not worth commenting on. But what she had to say is worth paying attention to. As the West, I think we have two risks to counter. The first is what one of the greatest contemporary European philosophers, Roger Scruton, called oikophobia, from the Greek word oikos, which means home, and phobia, which means fear. It's aversion to one's home. A mounting contempt which leads us to want to violently erase the symbols of our civilization, in the U.S. as in Europe. The second risk is the paradox that while on the one hand the West looks down on itself, on the other hand it often claims to be superior to the others.
That's rich.
That's exactly right. The result is that the West is in danger of becoming a less credible interlocutor. The so-called global South is demanding more influence. Developing nations that are by now largely established are autonomously collaborating among themselves. Autocracies are gaining ground on democracies, and we risk looking more and more like a closed and self-referential fortress. Yeah, that's a pretty good diagnosis. And the outcome of that path is, well, you have republics like ours that are teetering on very unstable ground, as we were just talking about with respect to our alphabet soup law enforcement agencies.
And it's so bad in Sweden. Don't forget, they're offering migrants $34,000 to leave. Plus, they'll pay for your flight back to your origin country.
It's a path of least resistance, cheaper than keeping them. At least they're paying for the mistakes they've made, trying to.
Well, they went from $967 a person to $34,000, so that says something.
Yeah, trying to find the market clearing rate.
Yeah.
Corey and Woodlawn.
Hey, welcome back, Dan. Morning, Amy.
Hi.
I've got a couple of things to say. First of all, Jerry Seinfeld said it best. We may not be able to do it, but two men could. We could get rid of these guys if we really wanted to. That's the point I wanted to make. Second of all, there's a rush to ghettoization. You said this a long time ago, and it's stuck in my head. They are ghettoizing America. How you going to describe people that have no skills, no asset, no income, no wherewithal, and just drop them off in the middle of America, hoping that the best happens? That's not going to happen, and they know it. They know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to get into conflicts. They're going to start a commotion, and it's going to end badly, and they know that, and that's exactly what they want to do. And I was sitting at the light this morning. I was driving, and everyone in Chicago knows there's certain places where the police heavily patrol, so don't run those lights. People are flashing, running lights. So my assumption is these guys are illegal. They don't even know that the cops are here on a regular basis, but the cops weren't there today. So I feel you for the young lady that spoke earlier, or that you played earlier. These guys are just running lights. They don't know what they're doing in traffic. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Corey.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. In the beginning of The Godfather, a Hollywood producer explains his feud with Johnny Fontaine. The singer made him look ridiculous, he tells the consigliere, and a man in my position can't afford to be made to look ridiculous. That line explains the crisis in the Middle East for the past year. October 7 did tremendous damage to the deterrent value of Israel's armed forces and legendary covert operations in the Mossad. On October 7, Israel looked weak. Over the past 2 weeks, however, Israel has rehabilitated its deterrence through both military and covert operations. The strategic patience behind the dissemination of armed pagers and radios throughout Hezbollah's entire organization turned into a breathtaking and catastrophic blow against the most highly regarded of Iran's proxy armies. Hezbollah in Iran looked ridiculous. The IDF now has effectively destroyed virtually all of the upper levels of Hezbollah's command and is devastating the terror group's inventory of missiles. Israel understands the stakes. We should allow them the space to do what they need to do.
All right, this fall, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements, a proud supporter of this station for 10 years. Turkey, pumpkin pie, ice cream aren't going to cut it. Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay healthy, happy, and energized. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for almost a decade. It's so easy to open up the capsules, dust them over applesauce, salad, or even mix them into juice drinks or warm water. And it makes you feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, your heart, your mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Order your fruits and veggie supplements today by calling 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Mark your calendar, Wednesday, October 16th. The Human Library is open in Downers Grove. The Human Library in Downers Grove, October 16th. We'll have a review of the programming at the Human Library in Downers Grove at 6:36.
I cannot wait, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32, flights canceled, delayed, or scrubbed altogether as the southeast is feeling the brunt of Hurricane Helene as it approaches the Florida Gulf Coast.
It's a big day for the panhandle of Florida. Final preps, they're underway. This is an area in Wakulla County. We're pretty much right up along the Gulf. You do have a river. This is the St. Marks River. St. Marks is an area under mandatory evacuations, and for obvious reasons. We're expecting an incredible, unsurvivable storm surge. This could see a storm surge potentially up to 20 feet. You also have to take into account that we're going to be going into high tide later this evening. A 20-foot storm surge, there is no way you're going to outrun that or survive that. So mandatory evacuations really kick in at 8 a.m. That's when they want everybody to go.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency. Helene is set to make landfall in the Big Bend of Florida tonight. New York Democrat Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is calling for New York City Mayor Eric Adams to step down, saying it would be in the best interest of the city.
I know I am innocent. I will request an immediate trials so the New Yorkers can hear the truth.
Mayor Adams has been indicted on federal criminal charges. Adams last night called the charges against him false and based on lies. The Norfolk Southern Railway Company will pay $600 million to settle claims all related to a 2023 train derailment that dumped hazardous chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio. Some residents in the class action suit asked for more time to review that settlement, but were denied. 4 were wounded in a shooting near a Chicago music studio on the northwest side this morning. The gunfire broke out around 2:30 in the 4200 block of Knox Avenue. Chicago Board of Education set to vote tonight on a resolution that would ban school closures in the near future. And early voting for the November general election begins today throughout much of the state of Illinois. Board of Elections spokesman Matt Dietrich.
A couple of weeks into the process, or a few weeks ahead of Election Day, you'll see pretty substantial expansion of early voting locations in some of our larger counties.
And a bill filed at the Illinois State House to make non-citizens who register to vote felons being labeled a stunt by Governor J.B. Pritzker.
That's something leading into the November election they'd like to raise, but we have no signs that there are people that are voting or have been over any of the last bunch of elections in Illinois who are non-citizens.
The measure makes it a Class 4 felony for any non-citizen that registers to vote or for anyone who knowingly registers non-citizens to vote. Chicago sports. Cubs were knocked around in a 9-6 loss to the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. They host Cincinnati tomorrow. White Sox earn a walk-off 4-3 win over the Angels at guaranteed rate, winning in the 10th inning and putting off an historic loss. Southsiders send Chris Flexen to the mound against the Angels today. Fighting Illini land a 4-star basketball recruit with a legendary name. Brandon Lee commits to the Illini basketball program. The 6'4" guard is the son of legendary hoopster Butch Lee, who won the Naismith Award in 1978 and became the first Puerto Rican to play in the NBA. The news, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code CHICAGO. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code CHICAGO to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees a secret weapon.
Donald Trump's secret weapon is not his rallies, it's not his base, it is the question of justice. What is just? And Donald Trump, in his own way, makes the argument that you, the citizen, should not have a lower standard of life so a foreigner can get freebies.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Exercise and a healthy diet can help, but that can be hard, especially as we start to get older. It's like the choice between taking the stairs or waiting for the elevator. Sometimes the easier option can be tempting. But just like choosing to take the stairs, you can choose to get a variety of 31 whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Balance of Nature supplements are formulated from the best ingredients available, and it's as easy as taking 3 fruits and 3 veggies capsules every day. It's a small commitment, but it can help you feel your best. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. In the beginning of The Godfather, a Hollywood producer explains his feud with Johnny Fontaine. The singer made him look ridiculous, he tells the consigliere, and a man in my position can't afford to be made to look ridiculous. That line explains the crisis in the Middle East for the past year. October 7 did tremendous damage to the deterrent value of Israel's armed forces and legendary covert operations in the Mossad. On October 7, Israel looked weak. Over the past 2 weeks, however, Israel has rehabilitated its deterrence through both military and covert operations. The strategic patience behind the dissemination of armed pagers and radios throughout Hezbollah's entire organization turned into a breathtaking and catastrophic blow against the most highly regarded of Iran's proxy armies. Hezbollah and Iran looked ridiculous. The IDF now has effectively destroyed virtually all of the upper levels of Hezbollah's command and is devastating the terror group's inventory of missiles. Israel understands the stakes. We should allow them the space to do what they need to do.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT Smart Connected Scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
640 Team Hotburg Traffic Center time, a service of Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back. Well, Discover's got you covered on that last one anyway. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. Discover.com/credit card. Eden's at 36 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy already over an hour, about 65 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike outbound stop and go between Cicero and Des Plaines Avenue. 45 in on the Stevenson commute, I-355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and the Dan Ryan at 30 minutes, 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny to partly cloudy and warm, high near 79, partly cloudy and mild, a low of 64. Currently partly cloudy and 60 degrees. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Of course, that line is from Macbeth. That's correct.
Yes.
Spoken by one of the three witches. Yeah, Shakespeare. Macbeth, Shakespeare. Very good.
Thank you.
Spoken by one of the three witches, and it came to mind when I was thinking about the Downers Grove Public Library. Remember this spring, there was a bit of a row over there with Bill Nienberg, who was a library trustee, removed from his volunteer position as Downers Grove Library trustee.
Because
the village board is a coven of witches, with few exceptions. The three witches coming to mind. By the way, that was where Ray Bradbury pulled his title. Something wicked this way comes, for the great book that Ray Bradbury wrote, was from that line from Macbeth. Anyway, I digress. Because you know where that takes place, the book? Greentown, Illinois.
Oh, where's
the carnival comes to Greentown, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very good. Anyway,
Okay.
I digress. Just a little bit of
But the library
literature.
trustee, Georgia Tech grad, reached out to
Bill
me.
Nienberg.
Yeah, Bill Nienberg went to Georgia Tech.
Not good
man.
not good enough to save him and his position on the library board at Downers Grove. He opposed things like drag queen story hour and pornography in the library for the kids.
Yeah, you're not supposed to yell bingo in a quiet library either. Yeah.
And so that got him cross with the three witches that run the library board, that run the library, that run, well, Downers Grove, apparently. The chief among them is Leslie Sadowski Fugit. She sounds like a fun person. She is the point witch of the coven out there in Downers Grove. This was at the time when the big we have to expel and banish this Bill Neinberg because, oh my God, he doesn't agree with us on all of the sexualization of children business, both in artistic form as well as pictorial. Leslie Sadowski Fugit.
I will simply state that there is ample evidence to support that Trustee Neinberg has not acted in the best interests of the Downers Grove Public Library, and in some cases disparaged marginalized populations and minimized their harassment by board meeting attendees. He consistently comes to meetings of those which he attends unprepared. This goes against the bylaws and creates an unsafe work environment for staff and fellow trustees. Coaching and conversations have been offered from my understanding. In my case, after I was supposed to meet with him and my daughter ended up sick, so I had to cancel a coffee because I had to stay home with her from school. Despite reaching out to reschedule that offer, I was never taken up on it again. I know I'm not the only one who had that happen.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible story. She did her best, reaching out, inviting him to a coffee, where that would have been the entree to get him into one of those re-education camps they run in Downers Grove. So he could have learned how to not marginalize people and how to not make a village board or a library board meeting, I guess in this case, an unsafe work environment.
I mean, if you don't come prepared, that's an aggressive behavior. That's an unsafe work
People
environment.
could die.
Because this has nothing to do with political affiliations and everything.
Please, keep up appearances. I know it's just a visceral response to laugh at such a line from such a person, but we're supposed to keep up appearances here in Downers Grove. We're one of the repositories of the beautiful lies by people who are fake nice. Come on. Don't make Leslie Sadowski Fugit invite you for a coffee. You wouldn't want that. By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Well, perhaps our friend Bill Neinberg has a chance to redeem himself. I'm excited to announce the Human Library.
What's this now?
Wednesday, October 16th from 4 to 8 p.m. Again, that's October 16th. That's a Wednesday. You want to clear your schedule. 4 to 8 p.m., the Human Library. I'm glad you asked what the Human Library is. It should be obvious. That shows that you haven't been to coffee with Leslie Sadowski Fugit. The Human Library.
Oh God, I'm waiting.
First of all, that's trademarked.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about selling T-shirts or other novelty items, that is trademarked. You have to get agreement from the Downers Grove Library, probably Leslie Sadowski Fugit. The Human Library is a library of people and their experiences facing prejudice. Okay. Instead of physical books, actual people are on loan for conversations.
Okay, that sounds strange.
Well,
on loan.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like they have a master and you're loaning that person from one's house to speak at a library.
Well, yeah, they have an internment camp in Downers Grove down by the train station where they keep people who've experienced various prejudices, and then they just pluck one of those people to come to the Human Library to share their experience of facing prejudice. So anyway, they have people on loan to have conversations. Probably many of them are Starbucks baristas in their professional lives. Our program with the Human Library aims to create a safe space for conversation where topics subject to taboo, marginalization, or stigmatization can be openly addressed without condemnation. So could I come there and talk about supply-side economics? Could I talk about school choice? Or would that send me to the internment camp? The people acting as books have directly or indirectly been exposed to prejudice, bias, or discrimination based on aspects of their race, religion, sexual orientation, class, gender identity, or disability. Oh, it didn't. Nothing about intellectual ideas or policy views. I guess not. Readings are 30 minutes. Readers must be 16 years or older. Why? Drop in throughout the program to see what books are available to check out, or attend the entire program and read multiple books. Readers can check in at the Book Depot outside the meeting room to see what books are available and to learn more about the Human Library Organization. The Human Library at Downers Grove. It sounds actually sort of like the carnival in Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. Spoiler alert, the carnival's turned out not to be such a great time.
No, it doesn't end well. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line. Anybody going? This reminds me of that. What was the conversation they were going to have in Highland Park? They wanted to meet with black people, remember? And we were going to have our good friend.
No. It was poor people.
Oh, right, with poor people.
They were going to they were going to sort of pantomime being poor for 15 minutes.
Right.
So they know how the poor feel. Yes. Those that are unhoused and so forth.
Right, because we were going to have my friend go
yeah,
up there
and then it's
participate. And then
right.
And then it got canceled.
And then it's right off to the country club from there.
It was at the country club.
Well, it was at a community center.
Community center.
Yeah. But a Natalie appointed one, to be sure. I mean, it is Highland Park. So I don't. Are there any adults in Downers Grove other than Bill Nienberg left? I mean, there are actually a couple of the trustees during that whole library board saga. I should give them credit.
A poverty simulation event.
Yeah, poverty simulators. Martin Tully. There were some others that stood up, and there were some residents that came out and spoke up. So it's not. But I mean, just the idea of allowing your town to be run by the three witches like this. I know we've talked about it before, but I just find it so, I don't know, demoralizing, pathetic. I mean, you literally have to have kids be the adults in the room these days. For example, this girl who's in middle school in Waukesha, she's the adult in the room when she addressed the school board over trans policy. I mean, so that Nienberg gets felled and there's an outcry in that moment, but then it just all goes away and those in power remain in power and the internment camps remain set up and they continue on with all of their identitarian claptrap and indoctrination sessions, the Human Library, for goodness sakes. I mean, aren't you, Downers Grove, full of successful professional people? Yeah, I mean, do you have no shame? I mean, at long last, Senator McCarthy, do you? I mean, that's where I feel like, what is that? What we just have to ask this question over and over again. This little girl in Waukesha, she's awesome. She addressed the men in the girls' bathroom policy that the adults, sitting above her on the vaunted school board.
I know you guys are probably thinking, well, I'm not going to listen to her because she's, a middle schooler? Yeah, well, I'm on the student council, and those younger kids who probably weren't brave enough to be here, I'm afraid for them. I don't want them to have to walk into the bathroom and see someone of the opposite sex in there. That's not right. That's not how it's supposed to go. And I know most people are like, well, there's not a way that it's supposed to go. But really, when you think about it, there is. Thank you.
Oh, my God, I love her.
Oh, thank you. There is no way it's supposed to go. But really, when you think about it, there is. I know, little girl. That's why we don't think. We just feel.
Yeah. And if it saves one person's feelings from being hurt,
so,
it'll change the way the whole system operates.
So that little girl can dress down effectively and politely the school board in Waukesha, and there's no sustained effort to deal with the three witches that run Downers Grove. Why? Dave and Cicero, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Sure. I have a general comment at all these, I don't know what to call these people, such as the woman that you're speaking of in terms of, I don't mean swear words or nasty
Leslie
words.
Sadowski Fugit is her name.
Yeah, I mean, what I have to say is that the huge numbers of people that have this virus in their head, where they're trying to preach this madness and all these different subjects, I believe that reality is going to hit in this country in our lifetime. It's going to hit all of us, unfortunately. It's going to hit these people, and it's going to be something terrible. I don't know if it's hyperinflation. I don't know if it's an attack from a real enemy. The powers in the East are warning us. We're not listening.
Why would our external enemies intercede when we're self-immolating, right?
Oh, that's another point. They hardly need to, and they should just step back and let us. I think the big word you used was self-immolate. I can't even pronounce it, but something's going to unravel in this country. This cannot. Madness is not a policy to build a nation on, or just to sustain a nation on.
Indeed. Thanks for the call, Dave. George and Niles.
Hi, Dan and Amy. I love you guys.
Thanks.
Hey, did Ray Bradbury have another book, Fahrenheit 451, where at the end they're essentially human books, human libraries?
That's one. That's one of them. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I don't think
part of
that's
his
exactly what he had in mind, what these guys are doing, but I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Well, a little book burning party over at the Human Library. Sure. I mean, show up with I don't know. I'll show up with the collected works of Shakespeare. That'll light a fire, literally.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the great some of the greatest playwrights and authors, present and past. If they're just honkies, I mean, they're of no particular value. This is why so many elite college English departments dumped Shakespeare and others. Institutions of higher education, just like these institutions of enlightenment called libraries, called government libraries in places like Downers Grove. Is that what they are? Those are wonderful community resources? Is that what they are? George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, is there going to be any Stepford wives there for stimulating conversation?
Yeah. I think the era of the Stepford wife in places like Downers Grove is long gone. You would long for the days of Stepford wives compared to the harridans that actually inhabit these suburbs.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-823-5544. That's 800-823-5544. 800-823-5544.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I love it. I'm 83 years old, and it has helped me.
Everything was okay. I feel better. I just turned 90, so I'm doing real good.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You know, some guys tell me, oh, that's psychological, man. I said, let me tell you something. I don't care what it is. It's working.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call,
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a email from a listener, Carrie. Pictures from the Carrie Library. All LGBTQIA plus all the time. Books that are centerpieced in the library. Pink, Blue, and You, One by Megan Rapinoe. Celebrate Pride, Rainbow Revolutionaries, 50 LGBTQ plus people who made history. That's Cary, Illinois, McHenry County. But it's not happening at your library. No, sure. Okay.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we return to a discussion about the FBI with retired FBI Supervisory Agent James Gagliano.
It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Now a Category 2 storm. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Hurricane Helene forecast to slam into Florida's Big Bend region in less than 12 hours. Mandatory evacuation orders now in place for coastal communities in Wakulla County, south of Tallahassee. Fox weather meteorologist Marissa Torres is there.
We're expecting an incredible, unsurvivable storm surge. This could see a storm surge potentially up to 20 feet. A 20-foot storm surge, there is no way you're going to outrun that or survive that.
The hurricane expected to be at a strong Category 3 or even Category 4 strength at landfall. New York City's Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury in Manhattan, reportedly for accepting foreign illegal campaign contributions.
These charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target. And a target I became.
Mayor Adams says he will not resign. The contents of the still sealed indictment will be released later today. President Biden announcing an $8 billion military aid package for Ukraine, including the first shipment of medium-range precision-guided bombs. Russia warning there'll be consequences for any Western nation that helps Ukraine attack it. Kremlin says they've revised their policy on using nuclear weapons. New Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon. Israel's military says they hit infrastructure used to transfer weapons from Syrian territory to Hezbollah in Lebanon. A dozen nations are calling for a 21-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon.
The international community attempts to broker a ceasefire, and a U.S. official confirms with Fox News that the U.S. is in active talks with several countries to do exactly that.
Fox's Nate Foy in Israel. Israel's foreign minister says there will not be a ceasefire. America is listening to Fox News.
60 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560 The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 4 were wounded in a shooting near a Chicago music studio on the northwest side early this morning. Gunfire broke out around 2:30 in the 4200 block of Knox Avenue near Fort Knox Recording Studios. Police say the 4 victims were walking on the sidewalk. All were transported privately by Chicago Fire in good condition. The Chicago Board of Education is set to vote tonight on a resolution that would ban school closures for the near future. The measure would place a moratorium on the closing of schools until the end of the 2026-27 school year. A bill filed at the Illinois State House to make non-citizens who register to vote felons is being labeled a stunt by Governor J.B. Pritzker.
That's something leading into the November election they'd like to raise, but we have no signs that there are people that are voting or have been over any of the last bunch of elections in Illinois who are non-citizens.
Republicans filed House Bill 5875 earlier this month and lined up sponsors to make it a Class 4 felony for any non-citizen that registers to vote or for anyone who knowingly registers non-citizens to vote. State Representative Adam Niemer.
We all see where this is going. We see the ICE facilities being closed throughout the state of Illinois. We know that this is a massive Democrat voter registration drive. And if we do not get ahead of this, they will be allowed to vote. Illegal immigrants will be allowed to vote.
While early voting is open in most counties and cities beginning today, Cook County and the city of Chicago will begin early voting in October. Cubs lost to the Phillies 9-6. Nico Horner with a pair of home runs in the loss. White Sox stave off a record-setting 121st loss for the second night in a row, earning a 4-3 win over the LA Angels in walk-off fashion in the bottom of the 10th. Bears dealing with injuries at practice ahead of the Rams Sunday, and the Blackhawks dropped their preseason opener 4-2 to the Red Wings at the UC. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Attention, anyone with high blood pressure.
If you want to seriously control your blood pressure and not be a walking time bomb,
Order 120 Life today.
120 Life is an amazing blend of superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure. It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
With ingredients that have shown to naturally help control blood pressure, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life.
Try it for yourself, risk-free, with a 2-week trial pack.
Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice business or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
.708. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of our friends at Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. The Kennedy with an accident inbound at Diversey, and right now climbing over 90 minutes, about 95. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike on the outbound side, brake lights between Laramie and Des Plaines Avenue, inbound 74 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Quick check of the Dan Ryan 25, 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today it'll be warm, sunny to partly cloudy. Our high today 79. Partly cloudy, mild tonight, low 64. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, the high 74. Cloudy, breezy, shower in spots on Saturday, the high 70. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Clear and calm, 60 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I definitely want to talk to our next guest about the indictment of New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who vows to fight the forthcoming charges against him, even as some on the left are already throwing him under the bus, AOC and others saying he should resign straight away. One wonders what they have in mind, possibly the person that would take over as acting mayor, this Jumaane Williams, who is more of their ilk than is Eric Adams.
Yeah, he released a statement last night from his office about, you know, this is all a bunch of lies.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends.
Yeah, right. The pro forma statement. He's being targeted for elimination unfairly. He's going to fight the charges, and he's completely innocent. Okay, fine, maybe.
He's a victim in this.
We'll see. But more important to the country than Eric Adams' fate is the FBI's conduct. And so the weaponization of government subcommittee hearing yesterday, featuring whistleblower Marcus Allen, among others. Marcus Allen, who's an operations specialist at the FBI, talked about basically 2 years that he was held in purgatory by the FBI, professional and financial, for daring to challenge the leadership's posture on things like J6. How many confidential informants were on the mall that day? Christopher Wray has no idea. Marcus Allen wanted to know. And for asking impertinent questions like that, his career came to an abrupt end at FBI. He described his last act of public service at the hearing, offering this threat assessment and making these recommendations for Americans. Pretty somber.
I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I've been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly. Have your voice heard. My other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times, and make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. And as a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary, go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic, and read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by James Gagliano, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. Don't call him the Redman. Don't do it. He also serves as mayor of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, New York, and he's on the board of directors of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. James, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, it's always good to join you guys. How's everything in Chicago?
Well, it's chaotic and catastrophic as per usual. The comments of Marcus Allen, how do you respond?
So I don't know any of the gentlemen that are considered whistleblowers. I didn't know any of them personally. They were a generation behind me at the FBI. I will say this about Mr. Allen. I thought his testimony was sober. I thought his testimony was respectful. I thought his testimony was pointed. And of all those, you're talking about Garrett O'Boyle and Kyle Seraphin and Steve Friend. Mr. Allen is the one that, of all the reading that I've done about this, all of the watching these hearings and listening to what these folks are doing on social media, I have the greatest amount of respect for. I think he made a clarion call. I thought that his exchange with Mr. Connolly and what Mr. Horowitz, the DOJ's Inspector General, said about the case are righteous. And I'll just close with this on it. The FBI and the federal government have to change this. When somebody is suspended and you automatically remove their security clearance and you allow them not, or you prohibit them from seeking outside employ, you can essentially bankrupt somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, especially agents that are working in big cities like Chicago or New York with inflation and the cost of living. It is an unfair and unjust process, Dan.
But he was out, and held in indefinite limbo for 27 months. I mean, it's not like he was suspended for a month or 2 months. 27 months, that's a long time.
It is, and he had to dip into his retirement savings, which, the 401k that you put your own money into, and that's your, part of your pension when you leave, because you're not going to get rich. You're not a professional athlete. You're not a celebrity, and the money that you make in the FBI, you're saving that, and for them to have to be subjected to that, him and his family, it's unconscionable. It's not righteous, and I'm gonna make a prediction here that he's going to win a lawsuit against the FBI and DOJ over this.
He already reached a settlement.
Why such a draconian reaction from the FBI? What is the great threat that he posed to the agency? What is the great wrong that he committed?
Well, remember, if we go back in the case, I mean, he had questioned, the activities on January 6th, and I guess he was accused of coming up with conspiratorial theories and things like that. Well, I mean, you can go back to COVID and the conspiratorial theories that turned out to be righteous.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at a lot of issues and say, you need to test power, and that he was an intel analyst, and his job is to provide intelligence and analysis of same to to the FBI agents who are, conducting investigations. You've got to paint the full picture. And to suggest that, well, if you ask these questions or you suppose or presuppose something and say, this is a possibility, what about this? And then you end up getting suspended for it. I think it's inappropriate, and it's intimidation, and it does show, at least it gives the hint of impropriety, or that there are some in FBI leadership that have their fingers on the scale or are doing things to prejudice investigations.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want in an investigative body is groupthink. You don't want anybody asking any impertinent questions or thinking outside of the proverbial box. I mean, what do we talk? And also, too, by the way, he's brought up some other issues too that were all sort of weaved in, but the overclassification of information to prevent disclosure. To illegitimately prevent disclosure, and you get into these conversations where why is that classified? I can't tell you because it's classified. All of that business, all of the artifice that's used by people like Christopher Wray to not comply or to not provide any information, legitimate answers to legitimate questions, and so he basically, I think he got punished for essentially exposing that the emperor had no clothes.
Well, what you just described is confirmation bias, Dan, and that is something that has infected many bureaucracies, and the FBI is obviously a bureaucracy. It's the middle name of our agency, Bureau. So confirmation bias is what happened during the Russian collusion investigation. It's where Director Comey, who was the director at the time, and a young group of callow, inexperienced agents that had been plucked from the field, hadn't been in the field for too long, were brought back to FBI headquarters. They marinated in the culture there for a little while and then sat around a table. One person suggested that this was what it was. They looked at the former president as a colossal threat to democracy, as has been said by, partisans on the left. And what they did was they chased that, even though there were so many things that literally you had to, suspend disbelief that were so ridiculous. The Russian prostitutes, urinating on the former on the presidential candidate, things like that. You had to suspend disbelief and move in that direction. And unfortunately, I think it's the same thing here, because there's always been these claims that the FBI and law enforcement is riddled with white supremacists and right-wing extremists. And if you were to challenge what happened on January 6th and said, wait a minute, I think there's more to this story as you peel the layers of the onion away, and there are things that might be, we might be able to look at and say it didn't happen that way, but we have a duty and an obligation to investigate it and to look into it and chase all these leads down, and for that, he was suspended.
But by doing this to Marcus Allen, what message is it sending to other FBI agents who maybe want to question authority?
A chill wind blows through, what we call the bullpen, which is where all the agents and task force officers work. Because when you see this, do you think the next time that something comes up where you go, hey, this doesn't seem right to me, it's not passing the smell test, do you think you're going to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm going to push back on this when you've seen what happened to him? Amy, the answer is hell no.
So you're in New York, and this is a federal investigation talking about Eric Adams' indictment, and he expects to be charged as early as today. That would make sense. This has been an investigation that's been ongoing for a while. He's had interaction with law enforcement that sought records and devices from him personally, in addition to a lot of staff members, and Wall Street Journal had a pretty good documentation on all the sort of corruption within his administration that has now reached the top of the food chain. But then you always have to look. This is New York. It's like Chicago. You always have to look at it through a bit of a jaundiced eye and through the politics of it, in terms of who gets targeted and who doesn't. And I see this rush to dump him by the AOCs of the world, and I wonder, did Eric Adams wear out his welcome with the sort of prevailing element within his own party, and this is an opportune way to move him out and move somebody that they're more comfortable within?
Well, see, here in New York, Dan, what we do is we sit back and we look at Chicago's issues with the with the mayor's office, and we go, boy, we've got it good, even though we disagree with a lot of the things that Mayor Adams has done or hasn't done. Look, this is a federal case. And there's a reason why people typically cooperate with federal authorities, because the federal government has a 93 or 94, 95% conviction rate. If the feds are bringing a case, generally speaking, they've got the goods. And now look, when you say, hey, if you sense a little bit of smoke, there might be a fire. There is so much smoke going on around Eric Adams. And again, he's guilty of what many in politics are guilty of, and it's called cronyism. It's where you hire people who are not the best and the brightest, but are loyal sycophants or shills for you. And he did that. That's why there are so many. There's a list I can't even off the top of my head of like 9 or 10 of his closest associates that are either under indictment or resigned under investigation or are currently under investigation. Mm-hmm. And that includes somebody I know pretty well, the brand new NYPD police commissioner, who the feds just apparently investigated his office and his home for documents that might have been in his possession from 20 years ago. Now, those are not, they're not synergistic. They have nothing to do with each other. However, it just goes to show the federal government is on the trail of Mayor Adams, and I don't think this is going to end well for him.
I suspect not. I mean, particularly this campaign finance. So there's a money trail here, and you're right. I mean, you point out in police, you've got 2 fire chiefs charged with accepting bribes in exchange for expediting safety inspections, a Department of Buildings guy, a deputy mayor, so on and so forth. So, I mean, it could just be that this is, beyond the pale even for New York City, which is sort of what happens in Chicago and Illinois. It's like, okay, this is beyond the pale in terms of your brazenness with the corruption that we've become accustomed to. And so then somebody usually goes down. But, and of course, public officials in New York go down all the time, like in Chicago. So, I don't want to make more of it than it is, but I just thought that politicians weighing in so quickly, I thought that was really odd. And of course, we've all watched, now this is state level, but still, we've all watched the conduct of Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, and we suspect that politics plays a big role in the prosecutorial discretion there in New York City.
Well, the worst thing, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. If Mayor Adams is forced to resign, and the only way he can be removed, Governor Kathy Hochul, New York State governor, has the option to do that. But this is something where it's an internecine battle within the Democrat Party. And look, the Democrats run New York State. They have the Assembly, they have the Senate, and they have the State House, and it's a supermajority. Only she can remove him. If he stays on and is either indicted, he can still stay on. If he elects to resign, the person they would move into that place is a gentleman by the name of Jumaane Williams. And for your listeners that might not be familiar with him, he's the public advocate here, a big defund the police guy, big Black Lives Matter supporter, and someone that if you think New York City is going in a bad way right now, and you know how it works, right? Everybody votes with their feet. My village, a lot of people from New York City have moved here because of crime, because of the regulations, because of the inflation down there. If this happens, if people think that New York City is on a collision course with the death knell of failure as a major city, this would spell its demise.
Yeah, we're very familiar with that model here. James Gagliano, retired FBI supervisory special agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. He's also the mayor of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York, and he's on the board of directors for the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. James Gagliano, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day, Dan and Amy.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, AM 560 homeowners. Are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
Northridge Prep is a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students, and when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. And the result is that boys just love Northridge Prep. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years, and one of the things that stands out is their commitment to partnering with parents. You hear this a lot with schools, although actually not so much anymore. But at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it because it's real. They've built a community that really works together. Raising kids is hard these days. At Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 20th. That's Sunday, October 20th for boys in grades 6 through 12. You can register for that open house on October 20th by going to northridgeprep.org. Again, the open house, Sunday, October 20th. You want to check out Northridge Prep for your son, go to northridgeprep.org.
How would you define your relationship with sleep? Are there challenges, trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Here's the thing about sleep. It's the foundation of whole body health. Good sleep is both mental and physical, and our daily performance depends on it. So how do you get to your dream state? 3 words. Beam's Dream Powder, a science-backed, healthy hot cocoa for sleep. This product will single-handedly change the way you sleep for the better. Text Beam to 717-767. That's BEAM to 717-767 for up to 40% off. Other sleep aids can cause next-day grogginess, but Dream is an all-natural blend of ingredients like magnesium and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And for a limited time, you can get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their science-backed healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Text Beam to 717-767 for up to 40% off. That's BEAM to 717-767.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Rain on the Scarecrow, blood on the plow. We'll talk to Brian Reisinger, former spokesman for Ron Johnson, for Governor Scott Walker. He's got a new book, The Untold History of the Disappearing American Farmer, at 7:37.
And Dougie, guess where he likes to put his straw? We'll explain. But now let's hop into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
57 degrees at 7:31 on AM 560, The Answer. Hurricane Helene moving strongly toward Florida's Gulf Coast, gaining strength as it goes by Miami.
The time to cut your trees and do the mowing on the lawns, to discard things on the side of the street is a definitely no-no.
The latest update from the National Hurricane Center clocks that storm at a Category 2, winds at 100 miles an hour, moving toward Tampa. New York Democrat Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calling for New York City's mayor to step down, saying it would be in the best interest of the city as federal prosecutors are expected to unseal a criminal indictment against the New York City mayor later today.
Well, the charges are not yet known, but the feds have been investigating Adams for campaign contributions tied to Turkey and other countries. Mayor Adams responded.
These charges will be entirely false, based on lies.
Adams made it clear he'll continue carrying out his duties as mayor and will fight any charges.
For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty.
When the federal indictment is unsealed, Adams will become the first sitting mayor of New York to be charged with a crime. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Donald Trump's presidential campaign confirming details of his return to Butler County, Pennsylvania, where Trump was the victim of an assassination attempt in a July rally. Former First Lady Melania Trump speaking out about her husband's close calls, including that attempt in Pennsylvania this morning.
I think both of the events, they were really miracles. If you really think about it, the July 13 was a miracle, like that much, and he could not be with us.
She sat down for a rare interview this morning on Fox and Friends. Federal Trade Commission taking action against 5 companies for allegedly using or selling AI technology in deceptive or unfair ways. Today, Batman will receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, marking the first time a superhero character honored with a Hollywood star. The star will be next to those of Adam West, who played Batman on the television show in the 1960s, and Bob Kane, co-creator of the Batman character. 4 people were wounded in a shooting near a Chicago music studio on the Northwest Side this morning in the 4200 block of Knox Avenue near the Fort Knox recording studio. All 4 were transported privately by Chicago Fire in good condition. Chicago Board of Education set to vote tonight on a resolution that would ban school closures in the near future. Cubs lost to the Phillies 9-6. White Sox found a way to win, staving off a record 121st loss for the second night in a row, earning a 4-3 10-inning win over the LA Angels. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hatch Company seeks a manager, business systems in Romeoville, Illinois, to design, develop, and manage information technology solutions. Qualified candidates must have a bachelor's or foreign degree equivalent in computer science, information technology, or closely related field, and 6 years of experience. 10% travel. Partial telecommute available. Please send resumes to mcampos@hatch.com. That's HACH.com. Again, Hatch Company seeks a manager, business systems in Romeoville, Illinois. Please send resumes to mcampos@hatch.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a 70-year-old man. I'm not a young guy, and I'm an ex-athlete.
Well, yeah, when I was taking it, I recognized that I was feeling better. You know what I'm saying? And just mentally knowing is important also.
I am a customer of you guys. I love your product. Love it, love it. Nothing but good things to say about your product. I love it. And as long as y'all are going to sell it, I'm going to take it as long as I can.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
An important message from Byram Healthcare. If you live with diabetes, you know how challenging and painful it can be to manage your blood sugar. Whether you have private insurance, traditional Medicare, or Medicaid, that can all change. If you inject insulin or have hypoglycemic events without insulin, you may qualify to receive at little or no cost, less copay and deductible, a continuous glucose monitor. It provides blood sugar readings with no uncomfortable finger sticks. It alerts you in real time to potential spikes and lows with your blood sugar levels. Byram Healthcare has been named Best Overall Diabetes Supply Company 4 years in a row by Verywell Health. We carry all major brands and will work with your insurance to get your CGM approved. If you have diabetes, call a U.S.-based Byram Healthcare specialist now. See if you qualify and end the finger stick.
Call 888-912-9434. 888-912-9434. That's 888-912-9434.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
7:39. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting for less than the price of a monthly car payment. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today. Inbound Edens at 36 Lake Cook Road into the junction. A manageable 90 minutes right now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Change your solid all the way in. Kennedy outbound stop and go Ogden to the Edens junction. Ike on the inbound side 90 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson at 1 hour from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny to partly cloudy and warm, high 79. Partly cloudy and mild, low 64. Partly cloudy and 60 right now. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy at a address to farmers in Pennsylvania. Trump had this to say, going to the tariff policy choice yet again, warning to John Deere, who is looking to move operations down to Mexico.
I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. I know a lot about John Deere. I love the company. But as you know, they've announced a few days ago that they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%. They haven't started it yet. Maybe they haven't even made the final decision yet, but I think they have. John Deere is going to, and anybody else that does this, because it's hurting our farmers, it's hurting our manufacturing. And if you do that, you're going to have a 200% tariff put on the product that you make in Mexico, right across the border. They think they're going to make product cheaper in Mexico and then sell it in for the same prices they did before, make a lot of money by getting rid of our labor and our jobs, and really a great name, because John Deere's a great name.
Well, that may be music to the ears of some. Trump with tariffs is sort of like the hammer and the nail parable, right? The hammer sees every problem as a nail to be pounded down. He goes to the tariff policy choice to try to institute corporate discipline in staying onshore or onshoring. But, these sectors are a little bit more complicated than just taxing goods produced in countries other than America. It seems to me it's pretty simplistic neo-mercantilism. Now, it doesn't hang me up on Trump. I've been, I just don't come from the same place he does in terms of economic theory. But
Mitch McConnell shredded him yesterday about this tariff plan, saying that that's just going to raise the prices for American consumers.
Well, Mitch McConnell is a kleptocrat, so I don't really have much use for Mitch McConnell and his economic analysis either, because he's a promulgator of counterproductive rent-seeking behavior. So the problem is very few people, if any, very few come to the table with clean hands on these issues of playing favorites with government policy, using government policy as a sword or a shield, depending on your particular interests. I'm not flacking for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce here either. I don't like rent-seeking behavior. But is this a way to address a problem that is highlighted in a new book by Brian Reisinger, The Disappearance of American Farms? Brian Reisinger is a former spokesman for U.S. Senators Lamar Alexander and Ron Johnson, as well as former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. He's an award-winning author of the recently released book, Land Rich, Cash Poor, My Family's Hope and the Untold Story of the Disappearing American Farmer. Brian Reisinger, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Thanks for having me.
So what Trump said about John Deere's sending one across the bow there, is that music to your ears?
Yeah, well, I think we all hope, or at least a lot of us hope, that there's a way that we can focus on onshoring jobs, bringing back Midwestern manufacturing, working with good companies like John Deere, and also there's a way to avoid increasing costs on people, not only John Deere, but also on those farmers who buy that machinery and who buy those machine parts. So, I never know quite how to predict where things are going to go when Donald Trump throws something like that out there, how a company is going to behave. There's a lot of ifs there. My hope is, and I think there's ways to do this, we found this in the book, my hope is that there's ways to get tough on trade and have, flow of goods happening in a low-cost way in this economy. And so that's kind of my hope, because, the reality is, he is speaking of things that people are upset about, but also, to your point, some of these solutions can have unintended consequences. That's something we got to make sure we get right.
When you talk about, in your book, 45,000 farms lost annually for the past century. Now, is that farmland that's actually converted to something else, or are we just seeing what has been reported widely, which is the consolidation of family farms into mega farms?
It's a great question. With the book, I decided I wanted to try to get down into that layer beneath the surface. What's that story beneath the surface that nobody's heard about? Why we're losing farms decade after decade. And what we've seen is that loss of 45,000 farms annually falls in a couple different categories. One is farms just wiped out. Home states like mine in Wisconsin went from number one in milk production to number one in farm bankruptcies. So that's families losing everything, and that sometimes just goes completely by the wayside. You end up having some farms that end up sitting idle. You have other farmland that is bought up by other farms. That's true. You also have farmland that's lost to development, and that means that farm families, some of them, if they live near a metro area or near enough, or area where someone wants to move to, they can sell their land for a decent amount of money. But here's the deal. They want to hold on to that land, and holding on to it, they can't make a living anymore. They're grinding out that living harder and harder each year. Or you can turn around and sell the land, and then you lose everything else, because a farm isn't just your job, it's your home, your community, your heritage, So there's a lot of things happening in this farmland, but in some cases they just disappear to development. In other cases, it's a family ruined and one farm combining with another.
What happened to your family's farm?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. We're still holding on, thankfully, but we've had some very close calls over the year. Part of what we do in the book is we talk about the economic story, what's going on driving this issue, but I weave that with my family story. So we've had a lot of close calls over the past century. Right now, what we're doing is we're doing diversified farming. We're still raising dairy cows for other herds. We're also raising beef cattle for consumers and raising cash crops. We're figuring out a way to make that work. My dad is still farming. My sister's working to take over the farm from him. But we did have to make some changes. Now, in 2021, we sold our dairy herd and stopped milking cows and started doing this diversified farming. Boy, when you sell that dairy herd, it's like a death in the family. And that was a really hard thing, and it's a scary thing economically, too.
I mean, how much of this is federal versus state policy? For example, I mean, you're talking about being land rich and cash poor. I mean, I totally get that. And you have states like Indiana, which of course agribusiness is big, where you have hard caps on property taxes. You know, it's 1% on residential, 2% on I think it's 2% on farm rural, and then 3% on commercial or something like that. Anyway, hard caps so that your costs to maintain your land are predictable, unlike a state, for example, like Illinois. So I just wonder, you know, in terms of when you think about policy that would protect the family farmer without getting into this endless business of subsidies and competition restrictions and so forth, is it really more sensible policy at the state level or the federal level?
I'll tell you, there's more that can be done at both levels because of the depth of this issue. When you have a problem that has set in over the course of a century, there's a lot that needs to be done to address it. Wisconsin overall does pretty good on farm policy. To your point on keeping taxes low, regulations from being too expensive, things like that. You know, farmland in Wisconsin is taxed in the way that the property value is determined based on what you can grow there, as opposed to what it could be worth from development. So, you know, you don't have your property tax values going through the roof and paying higher and higher property taxes just because more people want to buy your land. You're being taxed for what it's actually used for, which is growing crops. So that's a smart way to make sure that's actually accurate for the farmer, and that you don't have these guys just paying property tax bills are through the roof. So there's things like that in Wisconsin. There's more that we need to do to create more entrepreneurial opportunity in our rural communities, and that's something that local, state, and federal can all do. Now, as you know, federal is a mess, right? I talked to one economist who described federal farm policy like a Jenga tower. We've been building one program on top of another on top of another. You can argue about whether one had a good purpose or not. We can have that debate. But now they're piled up on top of each other, and they're going to topple, and it's hard to figure out what to do with which block.
Well, right. And at the federal level, I love this joke, by the way, you know, the old Department of Agriculture joke. Farmer walks into the Department of Agriculture. He sees a clerk on his desk with his head down crying. And he says to the clerk, what's wrong? Why are you so upset? And the clerk picks up his head and he says, my farmer died. And so you're right. So the federal.
You love that joke.
It's a great joke.
I mean, I've heard it before.
It's illustrative, and so maybe the point about funding a bureaucracy, not really providing policies that are sort of directly beneficial long term for farmers, even though you know the subsidies are sacrosanct.
Yeah. Well, I love that joke. If you don't mind me using it, and you know whether it's a farmer died like a pet or a goldfish, or whether it's being treated like zoo animals, the reality is the federal government really doesn't understand what's going on with the farmer.
Well, who's failed the American farmers more, the Democrats or the Republicans?
You know, that's such a good question, and I got to shoot straight about that. The reality is that, you know, the establishment GOP as well as Democrats over the decades and their positions on things and who they're fighting for can change over such a long period of time, so I acknowledge that. But the reality is that over the decades, it's been both. You know, we've had Democrats who instituted a lot of the government intervention in the first place that ended up being prone to abuse and favoritism, whether it was, you know, designed properly and well-intentioned in the beginning. And then we've had Republicans who have really failed economic policy that's more focused on the market, but failed to make sure that economic policy allows small businesses to have a fighting chance, not only farms, but others. And so there's been all kinds of problems. The best example, I'll tell you real briefly, is the farm crisis in the 1980s. My parents survived the farm crisis in the 1980s. They were dealing with a drought. They were newlyweds. There was all kinds of problems, and that was before the government got involved. What happened with the farm crisis in the 80s is a lot of people probably remember the government both parties had been encouraging farmers to get bigger or get out for a long time by then, including with debt that was fueled by government programs. Again, you can talk about whether each program ought to be there or not, but the reality is that it fueled that growth in debt. And then the government, in trying to control inflation, increased those interest rates. Again, that might be something you can argue for. But when you do those two things together, you have the government telling farmers, hey, take out this debt, and then you have the government snapping their fingers and making that debt more expensive. That kicks off a rural financial crisis, and it was caused by the government. And so those are the kinds of things that farmers have been dealing with from both parties.
Well, that's the problem, is the moral hazards that the government creates and the perverse incentives that they present. And so that, I mean, this is why my philosophical preference is to get out of the price supports business altogether and have the farmers basically lead the way by saying, just get out of our way already, because you also have, just as another example, but get your comment on it. It seems to me perverse incentives, another illustration of perverse incentives, like you were discussing during the farm aid era, if you will, is the windmills and destroying farmland because you get paid so much in federal and state subsidies to put these gargantuan windmills that are a lot of them are going to turn out to be white elephants on farmland.
Well, there's all kinds of things that individual landowners have got to be able to decide what to do. And, the reality is, too, when you zoom out into our entire ag sector, and it reflects a lot of what you see in our entire economy, we have subsidy programs that they're not just doing the baseline of what they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to guard against, like, uncontrollable weather factors and things like that. Maybe some things where you could argue, reasonable people could say, okay, well, we need to have some baseline for the stability of our food supply, and so that a farmer doesn't, have a major weather event just destroy his entire year's income. There might be a place for that discussion, but the reality is that what we have is we have subsidies that do all kinds of things. We have subsidies that make sure that farmers stay locked into just growing certain types of commodity corn.
Paid not to grow. Famously paid not to grow in some circumstances.
Or not to grow, as opposed to pursuing that entrepreneurial opportunity where it's like, hey, I can raise some corn and soybeans because that's good on the world commodity markets. I'm also going to put in some specialty wheat or some artisan tomatoes over here because I got people who I know will buy that. That's not really something that farmers are able to do because they're kind of locked into chasing that dollar,
Brian Reisinger is former spokesman for U.S. Senators Lamar Alexander and Ron Johnson, as well as Governor Scott Walker, as he mentioned, family farm in Wisconsin. His recently released book, Land Rich, Cash Poor, My Family's Hope and the Untold Story of the Disappearing American Farmer. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Hey, I appreciate it. People can find it on Amazon or ask your local bookstore for it. I hope that just people get the word out on these issues and we can see if we can change things.
All right. Thanks, Brian. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal, from fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vance Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vance Industrial. Vance Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vance Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
All right, I love it. Can't wait to do it. In fact, I'm going to crack those bottles of Balance of Nature open at 8 o'clock this morning and take 6 capsules, 3 fruits, 3 veggies. I crack mine open into warm water and voila, 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. I bet you can't even name 31 whole fruits and vegetables. But Balance of Nature supplements, I've been taking them for 10 years now, and I love it. Do something for yourself. I know you might think that they might be expensive, but think of all the produce that you buy that just sits and rots in your refrigerator. Balance of Nature, you're guaranteed that supplements every day when you take those capsules. You'll love it. Your body, your mind, and your heart will thank you for it, I promise. Order your fruits and veggie supplements today by calling 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, Vindicating Trump, exposes the real reason for the left's pathological hatred of Trump.
Trump has beaten back every attack against him.
I am your voice.
we have one target.
Let's look at everything. Campaign, his family.
Isn't that election interference?
It's not interference if we do it.
And that scares them.
Vindicating Trump. In theaters nationwide, Friday, September 27th. Get your tickets today at vindicatingtrump.com. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, Chris. How was your week?
Oh, sorry, Jen. I can't talk right now. The network is down again, and I can't access any of my files. What's worse, I'm late for a virtual call and past deadline on a project.
Let me help. I'll reboot the cable modem, wait 10 minutes, then reboot the router. Let's see if that works.
Sounds easy enough, but I shouldn't have to play resident IT director every time our equipment goes down. I shouldn't be messing with this IT work.
I agree. This technical stuff is stressing me out, and I'm tired of getting blamed by the boss for all of these outages.
We gotta convince the boss man to find a company to help us. This is just not working.
At Turnkey, we understand the importance of having a network you can count on, one that's reliable and doesn't go down. We provide quick, friendly service when things go wrong with no hidden fees for on-site support. Turnkey is the small business champion, delivering world-class service at the price of a monthly car payment. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All of Gallup polling's fundamentals have the race decidedly favorable to Trump and the Republican Party. So why is it such a dogfight at this point? We'll put that question to Amber Duke from The Spectator at 8:08.
But first, let's go into the newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is the one and only Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Fox will have the very latest for us on the rapidly developing Hurricane Helene near Florida's Gulf Coast. Chicago's Board of Education will vote on a school closure ban tonight. 4 shot on the north side, and police are investigating. A judge issues a blocking order blocking appointments of the Dalton mayor. Trucking company owner sentenced to prison for trafficking drugs to Chicago. Cubs fall to the Phillies, and the White Sox win.
New York City's mayor indicted in a federal corruption probe. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News, and this morning federal agents have raided Gracie Mansion, Mayor Eric Adams' home, a day after a federal grand jury handed down a sealed indictment.
An investigation into the mayor has focused on whether he conspired with the Turkish government to receive illegal campaign donations. He says he's done nothing wrong.
I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit. If I'm charged, I know I am innocent.
More details about the criminal charges are expected soon.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Adams is the first New York City mayor ever to face federal charges. He says he will not resign. Hurricane Helene has reached Category 2 strength in the Gulf of Mexico, expected to strike the state's Big Bend region early this evening, possibly as a Category 4 storm. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis telling Fox and Friends they're as ready as they can be.
And we've got over 30,000 linemen ready to go get the power back on. We've got all our assets for search and rescue if that's needed. So these are things we deal with. People just need to make decisions, keep themselves safe.
Forecasters warned the storm's surge could be as deep as 20 feet. The Commerce Department reporting minutes ago the U.S. economy grew at a 3% annual rate in the second quarter. It's the final GDP estimate before the election. The Labor Department says new claims for unemployment benefits have fallen to their lowest level in 4 months. There won't be a government shutdown when the new fiscal year begins next week, as both the House and Senate approved a stopgap spending bill yesterday to fund the government through mid-December. Explosions have rocked Beirut this morning. The Israeli military says it's carried out targeted strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon after earlier attacking weapons supply routes along the Syrian border. U.S. and France trying to mediate a 21-day ceasefire, though neither Israel nor Hezbollah have responded so far. America is listening to Fox News.
8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott, and here are the stories we're following on WIND Chicago. 4 were wounded in a shooting near a Chicago music studio this morning. Chicago police say the shooting occurred around 2:30 a.m. in the 4200 block of Knox Avenue near Fort Knox Recording Studios. The Chicago Board of Education is set to vote tonight on a resolution that would ban school closures for the near future. The measure would place a moratorium on closing schools until the end of the 2026-27 school year. Early voting for the November general election begins throughout much of the state today. Illinois State Board of Elections spokesman Matt Dietrich.
A couple of weeks into the process, or a few weeks ahead of Election Day, you'll see pretty substantial expansion of early voting locations in some of our larger counties.
Early voting kicks off in Cook County and the city of Chicago early next month. Cubs were knocked around hard, 13 hits and a 9-6 loss to the Phillies. White Sox staved off a record-setting 121st loss for the second night in a row, earning a bottom of the 10th inning victory over the LA Angels 4-3. Blackhawks dropped the puck on the NHL preseason, losing to the Red Wings 4-2. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home, 708-828-0000. 803, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Crude oil futures are higher. The Financial Times says Saudi Arabia is preparing to increase production to take back market share. The report says the Saudis are committed to stepping up production December 1st, even if it leads to a period of lower prices. OpenAI, founded in 2015 as a nonprofit to develop artificial intelligence, will become a for-profit company. OpenAI has been releasing new products for consumers and corporate clients in recent years. It plans to continue a separate nonprofit unit that would pursue charitable goals and own a stake in the for-profit company. Meta Platform shares are up 1.5%. after Facebook's parent company revealed its latest headsets using virtual and augmented reality. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group, can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and healthcare, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the roads is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% off for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy right now at 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. By the way, an exit ramp to North Avenue has just been reopened. An earlier accident has been relocated. The Kennedy on the outbound side, solid brake lights. Montrose out to Harlem Avenue. The Icon really solid through the avenues. Right now, 390 to the old post office will cost you about 95 minutes. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today it'll be warm, sunny to partly cloudy. Our high today 79. Partly cloudy, mild tonight, low 64. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, the high 74. Cloudy, breezy, shower in spots on Saturday, the high 70. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
58 at O'Hare, 57 Midway, 49 this morning in Aurora. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Gallup, the polling outfit, put out their key measures for this election, which are consistent over time, so you can do a little comparison contrast about correlation. They look at 10, essentially, attitudes of American voters with respect to the two major parties. And in 9 of them, they're advantage Republicans. Things like party identification, 48% Republican to 45% Democrat. That projects out in terms of historic measures to a Republican popular vote win by a couple of points, which would potentially mean an electoral landslide for Trump. Better able to handle the most important problem, which is the economy. The Republicans have a 5-point advantage. The relationship to past presidential election outcomes, both of those questions, party identification and who is better able, which party is better able to handle the most important problem, strong correlation to victory. And then there's 4 or 5 metrics that have a moderate correlation, like satisfaction with the country's direction, economic confidence, presidential job approval, and then a few metrics that have a weak correlation. But Oliver Wiseman writes in Free Press, considering the latest Gallup data, it's clear Trump and the Republicans should have the upper hand, so why isn't he running away with this? Weissman makes the point Trump has allowed Kamala to rebrand herself after being one of the most, if not the most unpopular sitting vice president in history, certainly modern times. Trump allowed her to rebrand, writes Weissman, offering no consistent critique of the country's eminently critiquable vice president. And he argues that he's wasted time and mind share on the stupid and the bad. I'll give you 2 examples. Weissman writes, first, the stupid. On Saturday, Trump posted a video to Truth Social hawking silver Trump coins. The true symbol of American greatness can be yours for just $100. Last week, he paid a visit to a bar in Greenwich where he bought Greenwich Village, where he bought a burger with crypto. None of this screams, I am laser focused on delivering victory in November. That's the stupid, according to Weissman. The bad is hanging out with not-so-racist troll Laura Loomer, preemptively blaming the Jews if he loses in November. I disagree with that. Indulging an unproven sinister fantasy about pet-eating Haitian migrants in Ohio. I sort of disagree with that. Greenlighting JD's Vance on stage with Tucker Carlson last Saturday, just weeks after Carlson interviewed a Nazi apologist who he called, this is Daryl Cooper, who he called the best and most honest popular historian working in the United States today. Yeah, I don't understand Carlson's choice there, but I don't think JD...
Don't link it to Trump.
Well, I don't think, JD Vance is like, this is like a double bank shot where I can't appear with Tucker Carlson now because I disagree with some of the guests that he's had. Even if he was overly effusive with respect to Daryl Cooper, which I think he was. Anyway, he goes on to say, does Weissman, just in terms of his assessment of the fundamentals are with Republicans and with Trump, but the race appears to be particularly close. And I've seen other polling that suggests the same. The advice and counsel that Weissman gives is rather conventional. It's not dissimilar to what we've said here, although maybe less specific. And the only thing I would say, like, for example, on the whole pet eating thing with respect to migrants in places like Springfield, that's a way to grab people's attention. Okay, I get it. Get people focused in on it. Then you move off of that, especially when it's obvious the D.C. press corps wants you to stay on that. Why? Because they think it's to your benefit? No, clearly not. You move off of that to stick on the substance and just tell the stories of real American families who have suffered real loss that was eminently preventable, and frame the choice. I mean, at this point, with all of these small communities being overrun and beset with the influx of migrants, and nobody knows why that small communities are getting a disproportionate share of migrants, even those that are here legally, like some of the Haitians under temporary protected status. I mean, that is such an easy referendum question. This administration and Kamala's viewpoint on this is so far afield that some laser-like focus on that issue, personifying it, and not with household pets, but with American families, seems to me an obvious and a straightforward thing to do. For more on this, get more analysis from Amber Duke. She is the Spectator's Washington editor. She's also the author of The Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. Amber, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So, what's your handle on, all the arrows are pointing in Trump's direction on the things that matter to people, and yet he's, beset in a dogfight with Kamala Harris, who is not exactly, does not exactly, conjure up remembrances of Barack Obama's oratorial skills. So I just sort of, it's almost the sort of Saturday Night Live Michael Dukakis line is like, I can't believe I'm losing to this person.
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on. I mean, first of all, is that this is an election made up by two people, and this was the same when it was Biden as the Democratic nominee. Two people that most voters don't want to vote for, meaning not anything to do with their approval ratings or their polls, but just that most people, when asked, say that they wish they had a different option. When it comes down to it, obviously the two options that are there, people will ultimately choose between or opt out of voting. But I think there's a lot of lack of enthusiasm outside of the very motivated Trump base. So that's one issue I think that's maybe plaguing the former president. And then two is that Kamala, because she has used the media as a means of avoiding answering any real questions about her policy positions, particularly how much they've changed over the years, she has managed to create this sort of phantom candidacy where I think voters are kind of projecting what they want her to be onto her. I mean, look at, for example, the progressive base of the Democratic Party, where during the Democratic National Convention, Arab Americans for Harris said that they couldn't possibly support her because she didn't have a Palestinian on stage. And meanwhile, she has said openly that she would continue the Biden administration's policy on Israel. And yet, a few days after the DNC, they said that they were going to support her again because the alternative was just too bad. And they had faith in her that she was going to do the right thing. And then maybe you have some moderate voters who feel like her political transition was sincere and she's really not going to be this radical that she was in the U.S. Senate. So this ambiguity around where she actually stands on issues has been a strategic benefit to her among people who might be considered low information voters or people who are sort of already leaning towards the Democrats and either want someone who's very progressive or on the other side of the coin, want someone who's more moderate. She's been able to sort of shapeshift between those two different coalitions.
But at some point in time, don't you think she's going to have to truly, heartfully, and honestly explain her shift on things like fracking and electric vehicles? And I mean, the list goes on and on.
Well, she should have to, but the problem is we don't have an honest media that's going to hold her accountable and make her do that, which is why I think that first debate was so important and why I actually think it wouldn't be bad strategically for Trump to do a second debate, because the only person who is going to be able to prosecute that case against her is going to be either Donald Trump or members of the independent and conservative press, which she will never, of course, appear in front of. Voters deserve, obviously, those answers. And her refusing to give them, I think, definitely turns a lot of people off. But it also, at the same time, makes her seem like kind of the less scary candidate, because if you don't really pin her down, she's just kind of there. Maybe it's just more of the same.
Yeah, I think there's something else potentially at play, too. Get your reaction to this thought. The environment is too target rich. And so they're sort of jumping around. You can't believe it, but it's true. She supports taxpayer-funded trans surgeries for prisoners, for inmates. Mm-hmm. You can't believe it, but it's true. She supports legalization of prostitution. You can't believe it, but it's true. She wanted to have a conversation about abolishing ICE. She raised money for a fund that provided bail to people that burned down Minneapolis. You can't believe it, but it's true. But you have to focus, right? Because they're just hopping around, and there's no staying power with any particular issue that you're calling the question. This is the question in this election, and it's up or down. And if you're up, then it's Trump, and if you're down, then it's Kamala. Like open borders, and just telling, just relentlessly, methodically telling stories, as I said at the outset, of government policy inflicted tragedies on American families. All we're going to do is spend the next week or spend an hour and a half on a debate stage, as you just mentioned, telling story after story and just holding her to account for being part of the administration that has inflicted this devastation on American families. That's all I want to talk about. And you can try to pull me in this direction or that direction, J6, whatever, and I'm going to do it's interesting. That's a great question. Anyway, back to what I want to talk about, and just demand that Americans focused in on this and and call the question that they have to answer. It just seems to me there needs to be, to Oliver Weissman's point, more discipline. You got to penetrate the big things that matter. So people's quality of life because of the economic climate, people's quality of life because of the public safety climate.
Exactly. And that's kind of going back to my point, which is that voters are a little bit confused because there hasn't been a clarity of messaging from either side. On the Kamala side, it's very much speaking in platitudes, being very vague about what it is she actually stands for, not explaining why her policies have changed, except that her values supposedly still remain the same. And then on the Trump side, there hasn't been a singular message to really define who Kamala is. And I think the big struggle is trying to combine the fact that she has changed on so many policy issues with the idea that she is doing this to hide what she would actually do when in office, right? You have to make the case that if she were elected president, she would implement those 2019 policies. That's why she's not explaining it, because she wants plausible deniability for when she reverts back to that radical senator that she was to the left of Bernie Sanders. Those two things haven't been adequately connected, I think, in some of the campaign messaging.
Well, she's a fraud. I mean, and Jane Fonda's supporting her and out there campaigning with her. And Jane Fonda told CBS News that, I'm going with Harris and Walz because in 4 years, fossil fuels emission will be cut down by 55%. And no one,
whatever. Right. Okay.
I just think she's a fraud. She'll say anything to get elected. That's the position I feel that she's putting us in right now.
Yeah, but the flip-flopper thing, Amber, I mean, it's, the problem is that a lot of a great percentage of the American electorate, they flip-flop too. They vote for Obama, they vote for Trump. They sort of feel their way around. They like some issues here, they like some issues there. They like a person, or things are going okay, so they'll stick with it, or they're not going okay, so it's time to make a change. So, I mean, the idea of a politician flip-flopping when they're sort of conditioned to be lied to, I mean, that's not enough.
Right, and that's my concern about that particular messaging without making the case that she really is the radical. You have to pick one, right? She's either the radical or she's the moderate. And, I mean, for the purposes of political strategy, of course you want her to be the radical, but that is what I truly believe, that she is the radical. And because otherwise people will say, okay, great, she listened to the American public on these issues, and now she's actually adopting things that we like, such as saying that she's a gun owner, or saying that she wants to get rid of taxes on tips, and that she wants to increase the child tax credit. Like, people, if they hear that side of it, well, she flip-flopped to a more popular position and one that I support. That's not a winning political message for Trump.
Yeah, exactly. I just, I mean, do you have a sense from the campaign if this is a Trump freelancing, as is his want, or if it's, and the campaign is just whether they are advising him to do, whether they're comfortable with this or not? The position is we're just going to let Trump be Trump and see what happens based on these fundamentals that are in our favor. We should be okay. I mean, is that it?
I'm not sure who is advising Trump and if he's taking their advice or not, or if he's just freewheeling. But I will say that back when the candidate swap happened, I interviewed RNC Chairman Michael Whatley at that time, shortly before the debate, actually. Or maybe it was right after. But basically there were rumors that Biden might not be the candidate. And he said to me that it doesn't matter who the candidate is, we're going to run our race. And I think that is right to a point, especially when you have the issues on your side, but you also need to take care to define your opponent. You have to explain why they're the worst option, why they're not going to be good for the American people. And I'm not convinced that the Trump campaign and the RNC were prepared with a singular focused message on Kamala for exactly the reasons you mentioned, which is there's so much compromise against her. And she was such a weak candidate that maybe they kind of took for granted that she would be an easy person to sideswipe. But because of the fact that she wasn't Joe Biden, who was basically decrepit, it did lead to some motivation and energy among the left and made some of the moderates who said Biden was too old maybe start to reconsider the fact that they were sort of reflexively for Trump as the alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other sort of wild card. It's hard to measure the senescence wild card, which is, I'm tired of two 80-year-old dudes running and rerunning and people of that generation. And let's just turn the page and get somebody that's one generation down. And it just feels like it's going to be something different because, I'm sort of, as you said, I'm projecting something different on her because she's from a different generation, younger, more vibrant, new on the scene, even though she's not. She appears to be for some people. I mean, I think that is a wild card that is working to her advantage at present. Amber Duke, Spectator's Washington editor, author of The Snowflakes Revolt: How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. Amber, thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, use your own body's healing properties to revitalize your achy joints and get you real, lasting pain relief. Hey, it's Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about advanced regenerative medicine. If you're tired of arthritic pain in your knees, hips, back, or shoulder, pain from an injury, maybe you fell playing pickleball, well, there is a solution without surgery. Now, everyone's talking about regenerative medicine. You can enhance your joints, improve your mobility, get back to doing the things you love without pain, without drugs, without surgery or downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are experts in these amazing treatments, and they're led by National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup from right here in the Chicago area. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough using cellular therapies. They've got tens of thousands of satisfied patients, and the consultation is free. So call now. You've got nothing to lose. Call now to get lasting joint pain relief with help from QC Kinetics. Call for that free consultation. You have nothing to lose. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature supplements. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm a doctor myself. I've used it, and I've turned a lot of my patients onto it as well. It's a good product.
I've actually taken the bottles up to him, and my doctor, he tells me, keep doing it.
I am 87 years old, and I am an RN, and my PhD work is in anatomy and physiology. I watched your advertisement on TV, and I thought, I'll try it for just a month. I have stayed on it. Just think it is a marvelous product.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I know many listeners get a little touchy when Trump is criticized, or the Trump campaign is criticized, but put the same question to you that we put to Amber Duke. The fundamentals are all pointing in Trump's direction. That's the good news, but he's in this dead heat. That's the bad news. Why do you think that is? 838.
312-642-5600. Grab a line. And Dan, you got to know where Dougie likes to put the straw. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
63 degrees this morning. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appears to be downplaying hopes of any imminent truce with Hezbollah after the U.S. and its allies called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire. Benjamin Netanyahu is headed for the UN General Assembly today. Officials say Ukraine's air defenses have battled overnight a Russian aerial attack on the capital for about 5 hours. In western Ukraine, the Air Force says Russia fired 3 hypersonic ballistic missiles. Meantime, missiles and drones hammered the Ukrainian power grid. Officials say the time is now to prepare as Hurricane Helene is forecast to make landfall in Florida's Big Bend region tonight.
Helene remains on a track to make landfall in the Tallahassee area as a Category 4 storm sometime this evening. The executive director of the State Emergency Management Office, Kevin Guthrie, says the center of the storm is fairly compact, but the tropical storm force winds extend out hundreds of miles.
In this situation, we got a storm that's producing tropical storm force sustained winds all the way out 300 miles from the center of the storm.
Parts of the Tampa Bay area could see gusts of up to 60 miles an hour. Reed Shepard, Tampa.
Helene is currently a Category 2 hurricane with winds of about 100 miles an hour. Federal agents raided New York City Mayor Eric Adams' home this morning.
I have been facing these lies for months since I began to speak out for all of you and their investigation started. Yet the city has continued to improve. Make no mistake, you elected me to lead this city, and lead it I will.
Some New York Democrats, though, this morning are calling on Adams to step down.
It is a very unfortunate time. We do not want to see this happening in our city, but unfortunately it is.
The charges against Adams are not known yet, but the feds have been investigating Adams for possible illegal 2021 campaign contributions. This morning, Derrick Rose, Chicago native and city basketball legend, is retiring from professional basketball. Rose, who grew up in the Inglewood neighborhood on the city's southwest side, a prep star at Simeon before being drafted number 1 overall by the Bulls, told The Atlantic about a half an hour ago he is retiring. He made the retirement official also in a social media post. He turns 36 next week, and we'll have more on the retirement of Derrick Rose from Pro Bowl throughout the day. 4 people were wounded in a shooting near a Chicago music studio this morning. It happened around 2:30 a.m. in the 4200 block of Knox Avenue near the Fort Knox recording studios. Cubs lost to the Phillies 9-6. The Southsiders, well, they did not give the fans what they came for, a record 121st loss. Instead, White Sox earned a 4-3 win over the LA Angels at guaranteed rate last night. Blackhawks dropped their preseason opener 4-2 to the Red Wings at the UC. The news service, A Balance of Nature. Fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago. Save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, the offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
As long as we are proud of who we are and what we are fighting for, there is nothing we cannot achieve. As long as we have confidence in our values, faith in our citizens, and trust in our God, we will never fail. our families will thrive, our people will prosper, and our nation will forever be safe and strong and proud and mighty and free. Thank you, and God bless America.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more at earthworksinc.com.
There's a lot going on in today's America, and it can get hard to turn your mind off at night. That's why conservatives have been turning to Beam's Dream. Dream has improved 15 million nights of sleep, and it can improve yours too. Their Dream formula helps you put your day to bed. Just one scoop helps you unlock a full 8 hours of sleep. It might just be the easiest thing you do all day and night. Beam's Dream formula is the key to falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. Thanks to its proprietary ingredient stack, mornings feel refreshing, not like a groggy wake-up call. This is a simple, zero-effort addition to any nightly ritual. Simply mix Dream into hot water or milk, then froth and enjoy. Try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder for yourself and enjoy this limited-time offer of up to 35% off when you go to shopbeam.com/America and use the code America at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/America and use the code America for up to 35% off.
It's Jeep Adventure Days, and Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on 159th Street in Tinley Park has your ticket to anywhere. Hurry into Bettenhausen and get huge savings off MSRP on a new Grand Cherokee, Jeep Wrangler, or Jeep Gladiator. Bettenhausen has big savings on a new Ram 1500 or new Chrysler Pacifica. Bettenhausen has the Midwest's best selection. Choose from over 900 vehicles with no hassle and no haggle. Showroom never closes at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
8:39. Let's get a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Indeed.com. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Interview right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit. In LaGrange this morning, LaGrange Road northbound between the railroad tracks and Ogden Avenue completely shut down. It's a long-standing incident after a truck crashed into the railroad crossing there. BNSF trains this morning, however, seem to be running on time. Route 53, we're noticing delays on the northbound side between Algonquin and Kirchhoff Road. The Veterans Memorial toll jams up between Boughton and the Reagan I-88. Tri-State jams up as you travel between the Reagan and the Eisenhower merge. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, roadwork in a left lane, jamming up things southbound between Foster and Fullerton Parkway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny to partly cloudy and warm, high 79. Mostly sunny and 63. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I see a little light. See what I did there? I see a little light between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, but not as much daylight as there should be, given the fundamentals of the race, where Americans are when it comes to party affiliation, when it comes to who is best prepared, which party, to address the problems that are of the greatest concern to me. Oliver Weissman, writing over the Free Press, had a theory about why this race is closer than it should be. Amber Duke, we talked to from The Spectator also did. But, listening to us prattle on, and the experts, so-called, take your calls as well on the topic, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. And, maybe you reject the premise. You don't think the race is as close as the polling indicates. Whatever your view, offer it and explain it. But, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating to watch what has happened during the last 3.5 years to America. And this is what they're presenting as the best option to stay the course. Kamala, from her big Oprah confab, asked this simple question from this young couple. I mean, just this Q&A is disqualifying, but it's not.
It's embarrassing.
Why?
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that.
The question, in case you lost consciousness during the answer, was what's your plan to reduce the cost of living? So, I mean, that kind of thing she gets away with, and the question is, why? Is there anything that could be done so that she didn't get away with it to the extent she is?
312-642-5600. Yesterday, she had her big economic speech in Pittsburgh, in front of a small crowd. I'm not going to play it for you, but this is one line that stuck out. Let that then inspire us by helping us to be inspired.
There's nothing.
My God.
There's nothing that is more inspiring than inspiration, I've always said.
I mean, she's an embarrassment. We should stop laughing. I shouldn't, and I'm responsible too, but because this is serious stuff. She could become our next president.
There are just some, the tautologies aside, there are just some people, I know there's some people that cannot be shamed. I know, per the Rasmussen poll, 28% of Democrats think it'd be better for the country if Donald Trump was killed. I mean, this is how extreme the base of that new Bolshevik party is. So I understand that. But there are, sort of well-intentioned people that do know better and are having a tough time bringing themselves to demand better. And that's the real cohort that we're talking about.
I watched that speech, Dan, with interest. And after 5 minutes, there's nothing new. I mean, she talked about, again, this opportunity economy, but she should say, hey, these are the 4 things I'm going to do. Boom, 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 boom. But she can't do it because she doesn't have a plan, because she's a fraud.
Christine in Palos Park.
Hi. So you were asking about why people are on the fence or undecided about Trump and what could move the needle. And he was on Gutfield last Wednesday night. And he was warm, he was personable, he was funny, he was relaxed.
At least somebody on Gutfeld was funny.
Right,
He was.
So,
I'm glad to hear somebody on Gutfeld was funny because I'm not used to that. Go ahead.
Right, well, I don't tune in regularly, but for that reason. But I think that was a really great PR move on his campaign's part. And I think if he did more of that, if he was on Gutfield every Wednesday between now and the election, I think it'd be a landslide because I was talking to John Boris, who's running for the Illinois 3rd Congressional District, and he said, people vote their emotion. They vote on an issue that they feel emotional about. And so, if people don't have a connection to the candidate on some kind of visceral level, then they don't vote for them. They, as we've seen, they have a visceral reaction to Trump negatively, and so they're voting against him. But if he were more personable, then I think people who are on the fence and say, well, but I really don't like him, would be able to hold their nose and vote for Trump because they know that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Christine. It just seems to me that you're not going to move people on Trump, and Trump is not going to, 78-year-old dude is not going to change who he is.
What do you have to lose?
So you have to move people on Kamala because she's so much less defined. And you have to frame, we were discussing with Amber Duke, you have to really frame the choice, boil it down on the big issues. And I just don't think that that has been done with the precision with which it could be done. And I think that's where the impact would come and would provide a little bit more breathing room for Trump. I don't know that this is not going to be a popular blowout, but it could move. I think if he did that, it could move maybe on the margins in battleground states that with some wind behind him politically could result in an electoral landslide. That's not where it is now, in my estimation. I'm just saying it's a possibility, but it's really about Kamala. I mean, remember, my sort of resting position is whoever talks the least in this race wins.
Oh, yeah, you've been saying that the whole time.
And the idea is Trump is a known quantity, and so it's framing the choice. The idea of like Trump redefining himself, that's not going to happen. But properly defining Kamala and what she represents, which is a continuation of things that you don't like, outcomes that have been deleterious to your quality of life, that is available. Will and Skokie.
Good morning. I think that the problem here is that we're judging what the horse race is based on a poor metric. We're using the polls. And I get polled all the time for some reason. And I constantly lie to the polls.
Really?
Sometimes I'll tell them the opposite of what I'm thinking. Sometimes I'll mix it up to just absurd. But we should do retail politics rather than wholesale politics. If
you can do both.
I know. If you're just relying on the polls. And the thing, too, that you have to remember is that there are some people out there that are so emotionally and intellectually involved with Trump being bad that they cannot look at the facts. My brother is a typical thing. She said the other day that there's no active person involved in war. My daughter's right now in the Red Sea getting shot at by the Houthis. And I tell my daughter or my brother this, and he goes, "No, that's just fake." And I go, "Well, that's because the only news you listen to is PBS because it's nice and calm for you." So that's the way. That's the problem with this election. There are too many people out there that are lazy, and as Jefferson said, you have to be involved and be knowledgeable for this republic to stand.
Thanks for the call. Well, that's definitely a problem. But I mean, let me just develop this a bit more, because yes, I mean, all of what Will said has there's a lot of truth there, but there's also this. There's also a way of addressing a core issue, core quality of life issue, in such a way that Trump doesn't address it. And I think that would be more accessible, including to the people who are on the wrong end of the policy choices that the Biden-Harris administration has made. We played this earlier in the show, but let me just play a clip from this woman in Fairhope, Alabama, another small community that is now dealing with the impact of a significant migrant population being delivered to their doorstep. And she, after explaining how her mother-in-law was killed by a Haitian man who has been charged in a vehicular accident, but who's been charged with reckless driving, causing 2 deaths, her mother-in-law and another younger woman, she explained why she is there, as opposed to the caricature of people like her asking questions and offering commentary and expressing concerns at village board meetings where you have migrant issues.
I'm not here tonight to talk about Haitians or even immigration. I'm here to highlight what seems to be a growing concern for many of the citizens of this community and many across the country as a whole. The real issue I see brewing tonight isn't just about Fairhope or Baldwin County. It's about leadership across this country, even in tiny communities like this one, seemingly usurping the will of the people, the very people in which they were appointed to represent. The issue at hand tonight has struck a chord, as you can see. Not because people are rude or selfish or self-serving or closed-minded. It's not because they lean left or right, aren't loving, kind, or generous. A large portion is because somehow things like this seem to slip through, leaving the citizens concerned and confused as to how they weren't made aware. They weren't made a part of the discussion. That type of power and override is what this community, many who are here tonight and many who aren't, feeling like we are under the overarching rule of control, rather than a community of information, understanding, and democracy.
Trump intermittently speaks to that concern, though, speaks to that "why am I here" explanation that you just heard that woman offer, but not with the relentless consistency that's required to drive a message and to frame a choice. That's an example of what I'm talking about. Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, I'm going to get kind of mathy here, but I think that if the dependent variable is Trump lead, one of the independent variables is going to be testosterone level. I think the coefficient on that one is going to be a negative. So it's like the lower the T, the higher the Trump repulsion of the person being polled. I know people that do this professionally. They pack a lot of variables in there, and I'm not sure, when you get out to be the 5th, 6th, or the 14th variable, how much effect it has on the dependent variable. But I definitely think that there's that testosterone level. Women are just going to be more repulsed by him because they've never been in a fist fight. Most of them, they don't understand the kind of the Trumpiness of the in-your-faceness. Not everybody, that it doesn't appeal to everybody. And I think if you're a low T guy, that turns you off too, because you're soaking in the tub like Keith Olbermann and, say no more. But some of the other variables, and I also think, Dan, that it's significant at the 95% level. I think the T-test on those is going to be above 2. Keep it in the equation. And I think that it's a factor and we need to think about it.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. Well, I mean, we definitely had an example of that. I'm not just talking about Ira Glass and the NPR staff, but also
That's right.
Also Doug Emhoff out at a burger joint in California.
Yeah, they're at Whataburger, and he was with your buddy, the tall guy, Beto.
What I really do is
in Texas.
I do a mix of 2/3 Diet Coke and 1/3 regular Coke, and it's just delicious. I've been looking forward to this all day. You know Beto?
Hi, Beto O'Rourke. Nice to meet you.
Yes. Good to meet you. How's it going?
They've got the Dr. Pepper shake. So Dr. Pepper's very Texas.
I'll do the number 2 combo. I definitely want some of that spicy ketchup. No pickles.
All right, just get to the part where they make out.
Oh, wait. You're going to see the straws. You wanted a band straws.
We are hungry. You can feel the energy. You can feel the enthusiasm. I'm feeling it here in Texas. We're all hustling. I want to thank our friend Beto. Talking about also voter registration, no matter what obstacles are being thrown in front of you, like they're trying to do, don't let them do it. Get out and register. Exercise your right to vote. This is the essence of our country. It's the essence of our democracy.
I told the second gentleman, we've been on college campuses, and they're calling it the Kamala Effect. Young people are getting registered to vote in record numbers.
Let's move our country forward. Let's elect my wife president. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you won't go thirsty.
This is my weird thing that Kamala actually hates. I put the straw on my ear, and here I go. Thank you.
He puts straw behind his ears. Like Kamala, it's Kamala's pet peeve when he does straws that she was trying to ban, but now she's not in for banning straws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
You want that guy to be the first gentleman?
Good point that Ralph made about low T after hearing those two gals talking at the. And by the way, the promise of this groundswell of young voters, that was also going to cascade Bobby O'Rourke into the presidency and then into the governorship, and that didn't materialize. Grant Rockford.
What the hell did you guys just play there? Wow, anyway.
A couple of guys going out for lunch.
Yeah, and then Dan said it. He said they made out at the end.
There's
they
a couple
took
of
the
guys
straw
going out for lunch.
And they met in the middle.
Yeah, and then they were rat-tailing each other in the bathroom and, just having a good guys outing. Grant.
Man, my farm fresh egg breakfast almost came back up. Anyway, why Trump isn't ahead? The media has dehumanized him to the point beyond salvation. Like you said, Dan, you get 28% of Democrats who say the country would be better off if he's dead. That is unfathomable. My father-in-law is what you'd probably call a blue dog Democrat from back in the day. You talk politics with him, he's all Trump. But I sat down with him having some beers the other night, and he will not vote Trump. He just cannot bring himself to do it. And there's so many people that
I'll tell you what, Grant, play that clip of Doug Emhoff for your grandfather and see if that doesn't turn him.
Oh my gosh, it's just that was painful. And then you played the Kamala clip of the inspiration of inspiring, and these people are they're so empty and vapid. There's nothing there, but it's all emotion. People, their emotion, they're turned off by them, and you can't save them. And I don't know. It's tight, and I'm nervous. I don't know where we're gonna go, but
thanks, Grant. Appreciate it.
At some points, I feel like she doesn't even want to win. I think she knows that she's all a lie because she's promising one group this. Like, I think she's secretly telling Jane Fonda, just let me get in office. And once I get in office, then we'll change all this.
So she wants to win or she doesn't want to win?
I don't know.
She wants to win. She would, knife Willie Brown in the back if he was standing between her and the Oval Office. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
I think sometimes she just wants to finish what she's doing so she can get to that afternoon glass of wine.
Yeah.
I think the big difference as far as why the polls are closer, it's because information silos. People are getting information from different areas, and I think that's why people have to get clips of the morning show or the morning answer show from Rumble and share it with your friends to persuade those persuadable voters to flip over for Trump. They don't understand how nuts Kamala is. Plus, it's the amount of money that the Democrats are spending. I think they're what? How much are they spending?
It's 3 to 1. Thanks for the call, Kevin, and it's even a bigger margin on digital.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Another day of excellent broadcast. Thanks so much to you, our listeners, Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's hit that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The latest coming up from Fox News on the headlines coming out of Florida with the Hurricane Helene bearing straight at Tampa Bay, and Florida's